All heavens sign in from Naruto, Chapter 461 to 480. Chapter 461 Yakuza vs Hisagi Shuhei. Although this kind of thing is reasonable and legal in the Guardian 13 team. But the night wind is always a little unbearable. So he hoped that Hisagi Shuhei could be a little bit more pressing. After all, want to step over the ants without hurting them. It's really hard. Liberate Zanpakuto. Hisagi shook his head lightly and said, My Zanpakuto is called Wind Death. It is a very terrifying power. Even I am a little afraid of my own power. So, less than when I have to, I won't let it go, and you won't break the match. Hear Hisagi Shuhei's explanation. Yifeng could only helplessly and speechlessly shook his head. Night Wind said, Aren't you too capable of pretending one by one? As an honest person like me, I really feel that I will be out of tune with you here. Next. The battle for the seat of the vice captain of the 9th Division is about to begin. The Melon Eaters were furious. While cheering on Hisagi Shuhei, he satirized Yakuza again and again. Here's such a scene. The righteous Dong Xian shook his head and said in a fair and impartial tone, Everyone, Yifeng is also a member of our 9th Division after all, and the battle to win seats is also a tradition of the Gotei 13th Division. He is not our enemy. Toxian wants to finish these words. The players all fell silent. Although Dongxian was talking for Yifeng, none of the team members were dissatisfied. Because everyone knows it. His own captain is such a fair captain with a sense of justice. It's just that they can't reach the height of their own captain. Then, the battle finally begins. This time, Yifeng didn't start with Reiatsu. Because he also wanted to see what the level of the vice captain in this real death god world was like. The 6200 step railing. Hisagi Shuhei raised his hand, and it was a bond that gave up the chant. The white energy light rod hit the direction of the night wind at a fast speed. And, by manipulating the distribution of the 100-step railings, Hisagi Shuhei successfully blocked many of Yifeng's paths that could be used for Shunpo's escape. To this, Nightwing nodded. He has been in the world of death for a long time, and finally saw a decent battle. Then, Yifeng raised his finger a little ahead. A Duan Kong who also gave up the chant stood in front of Yifeng and blocked all the 100-step railings of Hisagi Shuhei. The sky-filled light rod hit the sun. Flowers in the sky. Reincarnated as a spirit. Flying all over the sky. At this time, the corner of Yifeng's mouth twitched. He was about to say, Didn't I tell you? Don't waste your time with tentative moves like this. However, at this time, Hisagi Shuhei seemed to have long expected that his 100-step railing would not hit Yifeng. So, his figure has disappeared in place. Next moment, Hisagi Shuhei used Shunpo to appear in the blind spot he thought Yakuza existed. Then, Hisagi Shuhei slashed towards Yifeng's back with a knife. But, just when his blade was about to fall on Yifeng, Yifeng turned around lightly. Extend an index finger. Was placed on the blade of Hisagi Shuhei's Zanpakuto. He lightly blocked his slash. So that the blade can no longer advance an inch. Vice Captain Hisagi, if you want to cut me, why don't you just attack from the front? Do you really think you can cut me with this kind of cleverness? Yifeng's voice was not salty or dull. Fall. Hisagi Shuhei instantly felt that danger was approaching. He didn't have time to react. In a single instant, the distance between him and Yifeng was reopened. He stared at Yifeng with dignified eyes. Not only do you have a keen reaction speed, but you can also form a layer of hard spiritual pressure armor on your fingers through spiritual pressure. It seems that you are really strong, so in order to defeat you, I have to use my true power. Then, next, Hisagi Shuhei demonstrated the law of Macaw with practical actions. Hisagi Shuhei started again with a set of 100-step railings that abandoned the chant. Same pose, different taste. This time, Hisagi Shuhei didn't use Shunpo to cut to Yakuza's body. He picked a suitable position. Cut it off, the wind is dead. After a second, incomparable liberation language was read out. Hisagi Shuhei not only has the Reiki within his body increased to a certain extent. The appearance of his weapon has also changed. After liberation, Zanpakuto becomes two double-headed scythes linked by chains. S-shaped. The arc is similar to the Silver Moon scimitar. The chains are long. The attack method is to use the blade to rotate quickly, while using the chain control to attack the opponent. This attack method is very flexible. The adversary is often unable to predict the direction of its attack. It can cut off the opponent's head like the wind. So, it is called wind death. See this scene. Yifeng shrugged indifferently. He said, I told you to liberate Zanpakuto directly. Why do you have to be abused to understand such a simple truth? Hisagi Shuhei liberated Zanpakuto. There was no immediate attack. He once again launched a ghost way of abandoning the chant. The 26 boundaries, Hyugwang. After the light is activated, Hisagi Shuhei Zanpakuto's chain disappeared instantly. The team members saw such a scene from a distance. Couldn't help showing admiration. Using the characteristics of curved light to hide the light of objects, the chain on Zanpakuto was hidden, and then a traceless attack was launched. The vice captain is really a fighting genius. After a while, the teammates who were watching the lively eating melon touted him for a while. Hisagi Shuhei's Zanpakuto successfully wrapped Yifeng's waist. At this time, smiled lightly and said, It's over, Yamanaka Yekas. Immediately after, Hisagi Shuhei began to sing the chanting of the 11th chapter of Breaking the Road, Suruuden. This combination of Vice Captain Shubing is really powerful. Let Yamanaka Yefeng see this fancy way of attacking. Deputy Captain Niubi. All kinds of touting voices sounded around again. And at the same time, Hisagi Shuhei's chant finally ended. A golden thunderbolt gushed out from Hisagi Shuhei's palm. Along the Zanpakuto went death surging towards the night wind. That yellow thunderbolt was like a thunder snake, exuding a blazing light, wrapped in a burst of air waves, and blasted towards Yifeng. In the face of such a terrible attack, Yifeng couldn't help but laugh. There was also a force within him that began to surge. Then, he did the same and sent a lightning bolt that abandoned the chant. Sizzle. The golden lightning like a golden dragon shone out along Yifeng's palm. Open your mouth directly. He swallowed the little golden snake of Hisagi Shuhei. And then, zzz. A surging golden electric current rushed into Hisagi Shuhei's body along the wind. Chapter 462_Squad's reaction. A terrifying electric current was squandered in Shu Bing's body. In an instant, he had a feeling of being hollowed out. His Zanpakuto, wind death, also changed back to normal Zanpakuto appearance. At this moment, the entire performance field was completely quiet. All the team members looked at Hisagi Shuhei, who fell to the ground and was electrocuted in shock. Can't believe it. Their vice captain was defeated. Is that nasty guy Yamanaka Yekas really going to be their vice captain? Hey, send Shubing and Chimu to the 4th division for healing. Dong Xian gave an order, and then announced, from now on, the vice captain of the 9th division will be officially changed to Yamanaka Yefeng. I hope everyone in the future, I can actively cooperate with Yefeng to work. Quote. Toxian wants to have no eyes though. But, with his powerful spiritual sense, he has already understood the entire process just now. Just like the judgment made by Hisagi Shuhei. Yifeng is not only responsive, but also has a very sensitive fighting consciousness. His manipulation of spiritual power is also extremely delicate. If not, there is no way for him to form a layer of defense with spiritual power on his fingers. So, in the eyes of Dongxian, Hisagi Shuri's defeat was not wrong at all. And Dongxian could see that Yifeng didn't use all his strength. He believed that if Yifeng used all his strength, even if he did it himself, he would have to defeat Yifeng with Zanpakuto Shikai. Next, Hisagi Shuhei was sent to the 4th Division because of his injury, and he was unable to complete the transfer of the vice captain with Yekas. But Dong Xian wanted to decisively hand over the vice captain's armband to Yi Feng. Then he sent someone to send the news to the other squads. After all, the vice captain of the 13th team of the Guardian is already considered a strong man in the Soul Society. This level of alternation naturally needs to be known to everyone. In the captain's office of the 13th Division, Kuchiki Rukia made a pot of fragrant tea for Kyoraku Chunsui and Yukataki Shuru. Captain Uzumaki, leader of the Jing band, please me with tea. After showing off her superb tea ceremony, Rukia poured 2 cups of tea for Kyoraku Chunsui and Yukataki Shuru. Yahahaha, it's really perfect to have such a grandmaster tea ceremony team member. Sometimes I'm really envious of floating bamboo. Jingle Chunsui picked up the teacup and tasted it, and it was really fragrant. Very. What is it, Captain Jing? If you let Vice Captain Naneo know what you just said, you won't be able to sleep late in the future. Rukia smiled. Hey, when it comes to Xiao Naneo, I'm really speechless. Although you all come from nobles, Rukia is much gentler than her. Jingle Chunsui laughed. Anyway, his little Shishu is not here. Whatever you say will do. But if it was face to face, he would definitely not dare to say that. Ah, the leader of the Jing band. You don't want to kill me anymore, I'm about to be proud. Rukia smiled sweetly. Although she is not from the Kuchiki family. But because of her sister Kuchiki Hygiena. Kuchiki Byakuya found Rukia after Kuchiki Hima died of illness, took her as his sister-in-law, and made Rukia a member of the aristocracy. Although many people say that Kuchiki Rukia is Kuchiki Byakuya's replacement to replace his deceased wife. But Rukia didn't believe those rumors. According to her elder brother's request, she mastered the qualities that a nobleman should possess. For example, the tea ceremony, and for example modesty. Fuju, don't keep showing such bitterness and hatred. Although Yefeng-kun didn't choose your 13th division now, it doesn't mean you won't have a chance in the future. After all, you still have a vice captain position here. Well, sooner or later, let him betray over. Jingle Chunsui looked at the sadness on his old friend's face. I couldn't help but comfort a few words. Hey, I think Yifeng-kun is definitely not a person who pursues status, otherwise I would throw this chip directly when he chose the squad. Shiro Yukataki picked up the teacup. All in one drink. Although Shiro Yukataki didn't have much time in contact with Yifeng. But Fuzu thinks Yifeng is a very pure person. He is very upright. Has its own pursuits and goals. Therefore, Shiro Yukataki believes that Yifeng is definitely not a person who is chasing status and fame. So, how could Yifeng affect his choice because of the seat of a vice captain? However, at this time, the team members sent by the 9th Division to deliver the news rushed to the 13th Division. When Yukataki Shuru and the others learned that Yifeng had become the vice captain of the 9th Division, all three had very wonderful expressions on their faces. Yifeng, he became the deputy captain. How much effort has it taken? Rukia's face showed a strange look. Although she knew that the night wind was strong. But isn't the vice captain of the 9th Division, Shuhei Hisagi? He is a super strong vice captain. Defeated so soon. Is there any inside story? Yangu-kun, can you tell us in detail the complete process of Yeka's-kun's challenge to Hisagi Shubei? Shiro Yukataki asked. Yes. Yangu Ippei of the 9th Division described the process of Yefeng's defeat of Hisagi Shuhei and Akame to them. After listening, Shiruro Yukataki almost couldn't help spitting out a mouthful of old blood. I knew Yifeng liked the vice captain's seat so much. When Yifeng chose a squad, he just gave it to him. Such a pity. What you can't get is always in turmoil. Team 4. Uno Hanalai looked at Shubei Hisagi and Sansei Akame of the 9th Division, who was injured by Yifeng and sent over for treatment. A satisfied smile appeared on her face. Such a young man. Future. Maybe he can be a man who can please her like Kenpachi Zaragi. Fifth Squad. Sosuke Aizen finished writing a pair of calligraphy according to his daily routine. It is written above. Yearning. It is the feeling farthest from understanding. Look at this text. Aizen thought of his vice captain, Hinamori Momo. Then, a meaningful smile appeared on Aizen's face. Yefeng-kun, if you really choose to be his vice captain because of your admiration for Dongxian, then your performance is far worse than that of Hinamori. Aizen doesn't believe in Yifeng. Because he knew very well how ridiculous Dongxian's justice was. He didn't think that a young boy with drive like Yifeng would be as stupid as Dongxian. Not to mention. Aizen carefully investigates the night wind. Yifeng was born in Liuhun Street. But none of Liuhun Street knew Yifeng existed. So, there are probably only 3 reasons for this. Chapter 463 Justice of the Night Wind. First. Yifeng is a soul who has just come to the soul realm from the present world. But here comes the problem. Although some souls come to the soul world from the present world, they will have high spiritual pressure for some special reasons. But souls like this cannot maintain the memory of this world. But judging from the content of Rukia's report to Yukataki Shuru, Yifeng knows the world very well. So, he shouldn't be in this first situation. Second. Yifeng is a low-key person. He cultivated in a low-key manner in the corpse soul world, and finally had the power he has now. But, from the recent performance of Yifeng, Lanran doesn't think Yifeng is a person who likes to be low-key like him, but a person who likes to pretend to be invisible. So, the second conjecture also does not hold. So, the third word. Aizen suspects that Yifeng is a strong man who came out of the wilderness. After all, the great wilderness is a magical place. Even a god of death as powerful as Aizen couldn't stay in the great wilderness for a long time, and he didn't know what exactly existed in the depths of the great wilderness. But, no matter what kind of guess, Aizen felt that the first thing he had to do was to test Yifeng's true strength first. So, after he put down the brush in his hand, an immature little plan has already started in my mind. ... This afternoon, Dongxian wanted to explain the duties of the vice captain of the 9th Division to Yifeng. The 9th Division is in charge of the prison, responsible for torture, interrogation, and imprisonment of prisoners. Sounds like a bit of a boring job. After clarifying the scope of responsibilities, Dongxian came to the hill of Shuangsheng with Yifeng. Shuangsheng is the torture tool used by the Soul Society to execute sinners. After unsealing, it has the destructive power of 1,000,000 Zanpakudo. This is an extremely sacred place for Dongxian Yao. Because here, sin will receive the ultimate punishment. Yifeng, have you seen the White Tower on the opposite side? Dongxian was about to stand under the double scorpion, facing north, looking at the tower made of murderous stones on the opposite side. The entire tower is made of murderous stones, so it should be Saranjay's Palace of Repentance, Yifeng said. Murderous stone is a very rare ore in the Soul Society. Can block the spread of Reiki and Reiatsu. So, in the entire soul world, there are not many buildings whose whole body is composed of murderous stones. On the opposite side of Shuangsheng is the Palace of Repentance. This is where Yifeng signed this time. That's right, the Confession Palace is the place where criminals are imprisoned, and it also falls under the jurisdiction of the 9th Division. Dongxian Yao said slowly, but there is one thing you should pay attention to. There are 2 other prisons below the Confession Palace. They are under the direct jurisdiction of the 2nd Division, so when we manage the Repentance Palace, we need to pay attention to maintaining a state of cooperation and non-interference with the 2nd Division. Quote. Nightwing nodded. Although Dongxian did not explain too much to Yifeng. But Yifeng had already guessed the identities of the so-called other 2 prisons. One of them is called the Ascaris Nest, and the other is called the Infernal Hell. The Ascaris Nests are all detainees who are judged to be a serious threat to the Soul Society. These gods of death may not have betrayed the Soul Society, but because of their ability and character there are serious problems. So they will be imprisoned. As for the Endless Hell, according to the Night Wind, it seems that there was only one person, Aizen Soyusuke, who was imprisoned in that place. Yefeng, before I take you to the Palace of Repentance, I have one more question to ask you. Dongxian wanted to ask. Oh, what's the problem? Yifeng said. You said that you joined the 9th Division to pursue my justice, then, can I test your understanding of justice? Dongxian asked meaningfully. Justice is a very simple word. But the meaning behind this simple word is not simple. Dongxian wanted to see if Yifeng really understood his justice. Yes. Yifeng nodded indifferently and said, I don't know how Captain Dongxian is going to come to the test. If you have a friend who has been pursuing justice all her life, but she was killed by her husband who is the god of death because of a trivial matter, what would you do if you encountered such a thing? Dongxian wanted to say in a low voice. Heard here. Yifeng understood in an instant. What Dongxian was going to tell was the little story that happened to him. Murderers are always killed. If my friend is killed, I will avenge her. Yifeng said without hesitation. Hear Yifeng's answer. Dongxian was stunned for a moment. Dongxian wanted to think Yifeng would say that he could ask Xiao Lingting for help in such a situation, but he did not expect him to be so direct. Then what if the murderer was a nobleman? For example, the 4 nobles. Dongxian wanted to continue to ask. When it comes to here. Dongxian's fists clenched silently. Now. The nobleman who killed Tosin to be his friend is still active in this Saraiti. He has gone from a mere last seat of the Tsunayashiro family to the head of the Tsunayashiro family. The Tsunayashiro family is one of the 4 nobles of the Soul Society. Noble. Yifeng smiled disdainfully. What about nobility? Can nobility kill my friends? In my opinion, power is king in this world. If nobility dares to defend the murderer, then I will kill him. The whole family is. Yifeng's light-hearted words hit Dongxian Yao's heart like a heavy hammer. Destroy his entire clan. Isn't this what Dongxian wants to think about day and night? Such a pity. His current strength is not strong enough. He still needs to closely follow in the footsteps of Captain Aizen. After calming down a bit, Dongxian was about to face the Palace of Repentance, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Yefeng, what you said is very good. You really understand justice, and you will understand it in the future. You join the 9th Division and follow in my footsteps. This must be the most correct decision you have made in your life. Dongxian be very happy. He hopes that he can bring Yifeng with him when he kills Tsunayashiro Tokunada in the future. If the Tsunayashiro clan resisted, then destroy their entire clan. If Xiao Lingting dares to cover up, then I will destroy Saraiti. I kill people and set fires, I kill people all over the place, but I'm a good person. This is the psychological portrayal of Dongxian Yao at this moment. After the two briefly discussed the concept of justice, Dongxian Yao finally brought Yifeng to the Palace of Repentance. The prisons inside the shrine are numbered. Now this time, there were no prisoners in the Confession Palace. Because there are not many repeat offenders like Rukia's situation. Okay Yefeng, I have already shown you all the scope of work that the vice captain of the 9th Division should be responsible for. Let's go back to the team building. Dongxian wanted to say. Chapter 464_Asani Renji. I want to stay here for a while, and then I can go back by myself. Yifeng shrugged. Oh, why is this? Dongxian wanted to ask. Because this is the Palace of Confession, a place full of holiness, and the closest place to justice. Of course I want to feel the aura of justice here. Yifeng said in a serious manner about Zhang Er's incomparable nonsense. Ah, that's what it is. Dongxian nodded with satisfaction. He really did not see Yifeng wrong, Then I will leave first. Remember to try not to conflict with the 2nd Division, but if there is a conflict, there is no need to worry, our 9th Division is your backing. Quote. After Dong Xian was about to leave, Yifeng casually wandered around the Palace of Confession. Not for anything else. Just because the sign-in system let him sign in here for half an hour. Half an hour passed quickly. The task was finally completed successfully. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully signing in and getting the reward, Blood Suit Penultimate. Blood Suit. Yifeng frowned slightly. The Blood Suit is a kind of ability belonging to the Quencher, which is divided into Dynamic Blood Suit and Static Blood Suit. Blood Armor can increase the user's attack power. Still Blood Armor can increase the user's defense. But Animal Blood, and Still Blood, at the same time. Although this ability is okay, but it doesn't seem to be able to be used casually in the Soul realm. But if you reach the virtual circle, you can use it to operate Shusho. After Yifeng completed the check-in in the Palace of Confession, he did not stay any longer. As for justice, go to hell. Although appearance does not necessarily represent justice. But Yifeng believes that his justice can only be carried out by himself. Yifeng left the Confession Palace and walked towards the 9th Division's quarters. On the way, Yifeng suddenly felt that a fairly good Reiatsu was approaching him. After a moment, Edged Yuhi's god of death, Renji Asanjing, caught up with Yifeng. He blocked Yifeng's path with a bad look on his face. Yamanaka Yifeng, you actually injured Shubing. Did you know that Shubing is my friend? Renji Asanjing looked at Yifeng with cold eyes. Who are you and who is your friend? Does this have anything to do with me? Asanjing Renji. Yifeng glanced at Renji indifferently and said lightly. Of course it has something to do with it. You injured Shubing. I will teach you a lesson for him. Asanjing Renji grinned at Kiba and looked at Yifeng. He and Hisagi Shuhei had known each other for a long time. The two have a good relationship. So, when he knew that Shubing was injured by Yifeng and took his seat, he was very angry. He decided to come and educate Yifeng in person. Breathe out a good friend. Oh, teach me. The corner of Yifeng's mouth twitched lightly, showing a look of disdain. Then you have to teach me a lesson because I did it wrong, or because he is your friend, so you're going to teach me a lesson. Why do you care about me? I'll just ask you a question. I'm going to challenge you now. Do you dare to fight? Asanjing Renji was asked a question by Yifeng. It was a bit of a jam in an instant. Yes. Because of his personal emotions, he challenged the vice-captain of another team, which may seem a little out of line. But a friend was beaten. How could he not avenge his friend? To this, Yifeng can also express understanding. So he agreed to Asani Renji's request. Okay, right here. Yifeng shrugged. That's right. It's right here. Asanjing Renji snorted coldly. Okay. Yifeng nodded, then looked at Renji and said meaningfully, but are you sure you want to fight me? Actually, my first impression of you is pretty good, and I don't particularly want to beat you. Although Asanjing Renji has a reckless appearance of a mixed society. But this guy is also a person who prioritizes emotions and is passionate. He was born in Liuhun Street, and although his temper was not very good, he was full of humanity in his bones. When Yifeng was in his previous life, he still liked Renji. So, is a character he still likes going to stand in front of him and ask to be slapped in the face? Think. This is really a sad thing. Don't talk to yourself there. You arrogant fellow, I must teach you a good lesson today. After Sanjing heard Yifeng's kind reminder, became more angry. Okay, come on then, I'm in a hurry. Faced with such a persistent Renji, Yifeng had no choice but to use his fists to make him feel his love for him. Okay. Renji narrowed his eyes slightly, looked at Yifeng and said, this is not a martial arts field, Zanpakuto cannot be freed at will, and ghosts are best not to be used indiscriminately, so you dare to compare me with a vain fight. Quote. Okay, you can do whatever you want. Yifeng spread his hands. Anyway, it is a long time. He doesn't care. Okay, you're still a little brave. Then come on. Renji raised the corner of his mouth, and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. Yifeng's situation has long been spread in the Guardian Team 13. Everyone knows that Yifeng is good at Kendo, Grandmaster Shunpo, and ghosts are also thieves. But Renji is very confident in his white play level. He decided to use the white fight to teach Yifeng a lesson. At this time, around this street, a lot of Death God players have gradually gathered to watch the fun. Every squad has it. Everyone liked it very much and wanted to watch the two vice captains swing each other. Then, the two put their Zanpakuto away. Then, Renji lunged directly at Yifeng. Wow, Deputy Captain Ah Sanjing's muscles are so full. Yeah, look at his big fist. Wow, that's amazing. Crap, Vice Captain Yifeng is so handsome. If he is beaten by Vice Captain Ah Sanjing, what will he do? The melon-eating fans discussed around. Have to say, Renji's white play level is really good. In the eyes of the players watching the excitement around, Raiji is simply a master at batting in vain. But, in Yifeng's eyes, such a vain skill was simply unattainable. There are too many flaws. It's not as good as the lightning 5 consecutive whips of his former white beating teacher. Then, seeing that Renji had rushed in front of Yifeng, his fists the size of sandbags had already swung over. Yifeng finally made his move. Loose, live, bounce, shake. Lightning whip. The true biography of Teacher Bai Da, who is deep in the night wind. A set of lightning 5 whips out, he didn't even look at it, as Sanjing Renji just couldn't get in and couldn't get close, so he asked him if he was angry. Chapter 465 _ To be a god of death, one cannot do without martial arts. Wow. It's amazing. Deputy Captain Yifeng's white tricks are so gorgeous. Yeah, I've never seen such a beautiful play. I seem to have heard of this style of play. It seems to be developed by Mr. Kiran Baoguo. But have you heard of it long ago? Why did you see it again today? So it is. Captain Asanjing is expected to be cold this time. Listening to all the nonsense around here, Renji Asanjing became more and more heartbroken. His attack was fierce. But it really doesn't matter how he attacks, what posture he uses to attack, and what angle he attacks from. The night wind just shook slightly. All his attacks can be instantly vanished. All his white fighting skills seemed like a joke in front of Yifeng. Very unreasonable. Finally, Yifeng felt that he had almost done enough. After all, the other party is a bad man, is it necessary to swing for so long? Then, he stretched out his right fist. After passing through one of the 99 flaws of Renji Asanjing, he hovered over the bridge of Renji's nose. Deputy Captain Ah Sanjing, you've already lost. Yifeng smiled lightly, and he finally decided to let Rancy go. But this moment suddenly turned Yuhi's face. The negative emotions of failure have hollowed out all his martial virtues. His eyes rolled. Suddenly, a left hook hit Yifeng's right eye. Faced with this sneak attack, Nightwing sighed. Spiritual power spit out on his fist. Boom! Directly bombarded the face of Asanjing Renji. With blood from his nose, he was instantly knocked out by a punch, drew an elegant arc, and slammed into the south wall. I know that he was beaten. Those who didn't know thought he was seeing something that shouldn't be seen. Okay, can it be over now? Yifeng shrugged indifferently. This moment, Yifeng finally refreshed everyone's perception of his strength. He seems to lack something other than Zanpakuto's abilities. Slashing fists and walking ghosts are all master-level existences. Damn. It's impossible. You are just a fresh graduate, how can you be so strong? Asane Renji's heart began to growl. He couldn't accept that he would be defeated by the ridiculously vain skill of the Lightning 5 Whiplash. Then, Asanjing Renji got up from the ground, wiped a nosebleed, roared, and charged towards Yifeng again. This time, he used a very fatal style of play. Every move has the awareness that he wants to lose both with Yifeng. But, in front of the lightning 5 whips, any tricks are useless. Yifeng didn't even look at Lianji, but he just couldn't get in, so he asked him if he was angry. Renji tried her best to rush towards Yifeng again and again, but was patted back by Yifeng again and again. His anger grew stronger. Injuries are getting worse. Till the end. A Sanjing Renji was bruised by the night wind. Like a pig's head. Tisk tisk tisk, sure enough, there is no harm without comparison. Vice Captain Yifeng is so handsome. Yeah, Yifeng's Vice Captain has not even messed up his hair so far, but it's still so elegant, people's little hearts feel like they're going to rush out. Hey, originally, the male god in my dreams was Captain Hitsugaya. Is it going to become the Vice Captain of Yifeng now? It's so hard to choose. Hey, I don't want to choose. I hope that Captain Hitsugaya, Captain Kuchiki, Captain Yekaz, Captain Yukataki, Captain Ichimaru Silver, and Captain Aizen can come together. Damn, everyone has been sisters for so many years, how come I never found you so dirty? Aren't you dirty? Then why do you make weird noises in the bed with a pair of calligraphy and paintings of Captain Blue Dye every day in the middle of the night? You still have the face to talk about me. Do you think I don't know what you do after the lights in the dormitory are turned off every day? A time. The surrounding female drivers began to show their magic powers. Yuhi's face at first listened. This also made Yifeng quite speechless. Why doesn't he care where he goes? Are there so many beautiful girls who want to beat someone's body? This world is too scary. Is there no one who can help him share this pressure? Boom. Maybe it was because Yifeng was so angry. So, his one-legged monkey, fishing for the moon, may have been a little bit serious, but he kicked Renji classmate in the waist, which greatly damaged his waist. Ah, how can it be repaired? Asanai Renji let out a painful roar. But, after all, he is a master at the level of a vice captain. Although kicked. But he endured the pain and didn't fall down. This moment. His blood poured into his pupils. Visually, he has completely lost his mind. His strategy has changed. If you can't get in, take a knife. Then, Renji roared and rushed to the corner of the wall, grabbing his old friend Shiwaimaru. Roar! Shiwaimaru roared furiously, pulled out Zanpakuto, and wanted to completely defeat Yifeng by liberating Zanpakuto. After all, his Shiwaimaru can be Zanpakuto of Bankai. Quite cow. Do you want to use the power of Zanpakuto, Deputy Captain Asanjing? I didn't expect you to be a person without martial arts. Yifeng shook his head. But right now, a handsome figure descended from the sky and landed on Renji's side. He stretched out his hand, held Renji's wrist, and said lightly. Renji, do you have to break the rules you made by yourself? Having a vice captain like you in the 6th division really makes me feel a little shameless. The indifferent voice fell. Asane Renji stood still like a lost rooster. He swallowed. There was a look of pain on his face. Team Captain, why are you here? The person who came was Kuchiki Byakuya, captain of the 6th division. The contemporary owner of the Kuchiki family. Kuchiki Rukia's brother. Kuchiki Byakuya glanced at Renji indifferently, and said, if I don't come, will I just let you be embarrassed here? You are too weak. Asashi Renji heard Kuchiki Byakuya's accusation. My heart was struck by lightning. Yes. He is not alone. He also represents the glory of the 6th division. How could he do something like this? Captain, but I'm not reconciled, Asane Renji said in pain. If I can liberate Zanpakuto, I can definitely defeat him. Don't be too easy. Chapter 466_Indigo Dye Arrangement. Love, quote. You are wrong. You are no match for Zanpakuto even with his power. You've lost from the moment you decided to challenge him. Kuchiki Byakuya said with an expression on his face. From his point of view, what Yifeng has just shown is not just a free attacking skill. Kuchiki Byakuya saw from Yifeng's white attack that Yifeng has a strong sense of fighting. So, a person with such a fighting spirit, it's not something his vice captain can beat at all. Yamanaka Yifeng, if you really want to defeat Renji with your skills, you don't need to use this method at all. Are you relying on your own spiritual power to embarrass our 6th division? After Kuchiki Byakuya accused his vice captain, he gave Yifeng a bad look. In Kuchiki Byakuya's logic, since it is obvious that it can be done in seconds, why should it be delayed for so long? Isn't this just deliberately insulting people again? Then, Kuchiki Byakuya's voice fell. A majestic spiritual pressure suddenly rushed out of his body. It was applied in the direction of the night wind. In the face of super captains like Kuchiki Byakuya, Yifeng still maintains a calm look. It was a reiatsu that made the onlookers feel terrifying. In front of the night wind, it is as if the green wind blows the hills and the bright moon shines on the river. Totally useless. Hey, Vice Captain Yifeng actually resisted the spiritual pressure of Captain Deadwood. Damn it, are the male gods going to fight each other? Why do I feel a little anticipation in my heart? If they were fighting for me, how happy would it be? Yifeng smiled lightly, looking at Kuchiki Byakuya with a dashing aura. Captain Kuchiki, do you want to challenge me too? But let's squeak before you do it. Otherwise, don't you look like you are like your vice captain who has no martial virtues? Yifeng's voice fell. A wave of spiritual pressure also erupted in the body. Not only did he directly break through Kuchiki Byakuya's spiritual pressure, he also fought back towards Kuchiki Byakuya. Boom! The two reiki collided in the air. There was a low growl. The airflow generated by the collision even blew the skirts of the girls around. The scene became a little chaotic for a while. In the face of Yifeng's provocation, Kuchiki Byakuya narrowed his eyes slightly. But, in the end, he did not continue to shoot towards Yifeng. Yamanaka Yifeng, you are indeed the top of the vice captains. However, every captain of the Gote 13 is not as simple as you think. I advise you to do it yourself. Kuchiki Byakuya lightly flicked his sleeves. Turn away. Although Asanjing Renji was unwilling, but he could only leave behind his own captain in despair. To this, Yifeng shrugged nonchalantly. With the high popularity of these original characters on the line one after another, Yifeng finally felt that the world of the god of death he had traveled through became more and more like the world he remembered. But, rat tail juice. These so-called nobles are really used to being aloof. It was obviously Renji Asanjing who took the initiative to cause trouble. Kuchiki Byakuya even let him do it for himself. It seems, Yifeng felt that it was necessary for him to teach the nobles sooner or later. Dongxian went directly to the 5th division after separating from Yifeng. He impatiently reported Yifeng's various performances to Aizen one by one. It seems that he wants to share the joy in his heart with his captain Aizen. But, Aizen listened to the report that Tosen wanted. His eyes became more and more gloomy. Especially when Aizen learned from the mouth of Dongxianyao that Yifeng said that the sky was colorless. His mood became more complicated. Because this remark was originally one of Aizen's favorites, including the cliff flower theory. And now, his favorite line was robbed by Yifeng again. This feeling made him very uncomfortable. Even if he is Aizen Soyusuke. Yes, things like justice are never enough to talk about. Yifeng still needs to be tested, otherwise he won't be able to become our companion. Aizen sat behind the desk. The old-fashioned smile on his face had long since disappeared. After all, he didn't have to laugh for a blind man to see. Yes, Captain Aizen, I plan to set up a series of tests for Yifeng. I believe he will pass our tests. Dongxian wants to look at Aizen with a vow. On the way to the 5th division, he had already figured out a lot of content that could be used to test Yifeng. He believed that Yifeng would definitely stick to his original aspiration. I can definitely prove myself to Captain Aizen. Don't be so troublesome. Yes, I'm going to arrange Yifeng to go to a virtual circle. That is the test room suitable for him. Lan Ran said calmly. Virtual circle. Dongxian was stunned for a moment, and said, let him go to the virtual circle now. Would it be too early? It's too early. Lan Ran raised the corner of his mouth slightly and said lightly, yes, are you doubting my judgment? Aizen's voice fell. An invisible pressure suddenly enveloped Dongxian Yao's heart. Yes. He's Captain Aizen. His judgments, his decisions, any of his actions. It can't be wrong. How can I doubt Captain Aizen? This is my fault. This moment. The favorability that Tosin wanted was like being locked by Aizen. ... This day. Yifeng is taking the members of the 9th Division to patrol the area under the jurisdiction of the 9th Division on a daily basis. Suddenly. He received a task from the system. Ding. Please go to the Great Void Forest to complete the check-in. There is no time limit for this check-in task, please continue to work hard. Receive task reminders. Yifeng frowned. Great Void Forest. Virtual Circle. Is he going to fight hard in the virtual circle this time? Isn't this pace too fast? After all. Where is the virtual circle? That is the Great Void Kingdom. Although Yifeng thinks that with his strength, it is definitely no problem to do things in the virtual circle. But, if you want to go to the virtual circle, you have to use the black cavity. But this technology is very high-end technology. At this moment in time, Master's particularly mature black cavity technology in the Soul Society. So, is that place in the virtual circle that he can go to as an ordinary god of death? Just when Yifeng was thinking, Hisagi Shuhei, who had already recovered from his injuries, walked over from the corner ahead. Deputy Captain Yamanaka, Captain Toxian asked you to come over. It seems that there is a special task for you. Hisagi Shuhei looked at Yifeng with complicated eyes. After Yifeng became the vice captain of the 9th Division, Hisagi Shuhei was automatically demoted to the 3rd seat in the division. Although he has now accepted this reality. But, when he called Yifeng the vice captain, the heart is still relatively resistant. Chapter 467_Righteous Night Wind. Okay. Let's go. Yifeng nodded indifferently, and took the team back to the 9th Division's quarters. Came to Tosen Yao's office. Opened the door. At this time, Dongxian wants to arrange tasks for the other officers in an orderly manner. Yifeng, you're back, sit down first. Dongxian wanted to sense Yifeng entering the door, and smiled slightly, indicating that he should sit down first. After Yifeng sat down, Toxian must first clean up the affairs at hand. Then, he looked, Yifeng hesitantly said. Yifeng, at the captain's meeting today, the captain of the 12th Division, Muley, reported that they had detected some changes in the virtual circle yesterday. The captain hopes to send a deputy captain to the virtual circle to inquire about the information. When Toxian was about to say this, the expressions of all the officers in the office became strange. Virtual circle. Change. Vice captain. Under this background, Captain Dongxian deliberately called Yifeng over. Does that mean that Yifeng is the one who will go to the virtual circle to perform this task? Then, the officers of the 9th Division looked sideways at Yifeng. There was a look of excitement in his eyes. After all, that's a virtual circle. Let Yifeng, a rookie vice captain, go there, but he is likely to die there. So, they hope to see surprise, fear, remorse, helplessness, all kinds of complicated expressions on Yifeng's face. But, Yifeng was always calm. The virtual circle is of great importance, and there are many crises. It is indeed appropriate for a death god with sufficient strength to inquire about it. I think it is more appropriate for me to go. Yifeng nodded in agreement. He was still fussing over the sign-in thing just now. Now, in the blink of an eye, someone actually handed the pillow over. Yifeng felt that the will of God seemed to be really good for him. Well, I also understand that you have just joined the 13th team of the Guardian. It's a bit too difficult for you to perform such a task now, but... Dongxian was about to speak, but his expression suddenly condensed. He showed with an incredible expression, you. What did you just say? You said it would be more appropriate for you to go. A question mark appeared on the face of the black man Tosin wanted. He was still hesitating how to explain this matter to Yifeng. But Yifeng actually has the determination to go to the virtual circle to take risks. That's right. Yifeng nodded, showing a serious look on his face, and said, I have just been promoted to the vice captain of the 9th division, and now is the time when I need to be trained and tested. If I don't go, who will I go? Quote. Hear Yifeng's awe-inspiring remarks. Dongxian was stunned. The surrounding officials who wanted to watch Yifeng lively were also stunned. Yifeng-kun, well said. It's not worth it. I specially bought you a chance to carry out this mission. Your ideas are completely in line with mine. Dongxian stood up with a look of excitement. Actually, Dongxian Yao did not tell Yifeng the truth. Until now, he actually thought that Yifeng was inappropriate to go to the virtual circle. But what Yifeng just said actually coincides with Captain Aizen again. What is this called? The people I follow and the people who follow me have the same mind. Dongxian, is really a happy person. Then when can I leave? I can't wait, Yifeng asked solemnly. Well, Dongxian touched his chin and said, theoretically, you can set off now. You can go to the 12th division to find Captain Niyuli, and he will find a way to send you to Shu Circle. Okay, then I'm leaving. After Yifeng accepted the mission. Symbolically, he packed up a few supplies. Then, he came to the door of the Technology Development Bureau of the 12th Division. It's here. Yifeng meets Rukia. Yifeng, are you really here? Are you crazy? Rukia ran towards Yifeng and looked at him solemnly. Huh, what are you doing crazy? Loli Yu. Yifeng shrugged. Loli Yu is the nickname Yifeng gave to Rukia in this world. Because she has the attributes of both Loli and Yuji. I've already heard from Captain Floating Bamboo. Your captain plans to arrange for you to go to the virtual circle to perform a mission. But do you know how dangerous the virtual circle is? You must not accept this task so easily. Be careful that you will die in there. Rukia had a worried look on her face. In Rukia's view, Dongxian wanted to overcome all opinions and let a newcomer like Yifeng go to the virtual circle to perform the task, which was clearly aimed at him. Although Yifeng defeated Hisagi Shuhei and Asanjing Renji 2 vice-captains in a row. But his Zanpakuto can't be Shikai after all. What should I do in case of danger? This is the frame of change. Someone wants to kill Yifeng with the help of the virtual hand. Rukia, calm down. Yifeng smiled. He stepped forward and touched Rukia's little head. To be frank, Yifeng of course knew that this trip to the virtual circle was not easy. He knew that there must be someone behind this incident. And I want to push the 12th division to discover the abnormality of the virtual circle, and then push Dongxian to recommend Yifeng. Except for the old hidden Aizen. Yifeng couldn't imagine who else was there. But is not particularly worried about Aizen at the moment. After all, he has never seen Aizen liberate Zanpakuto. What are you panicking about? But it's a virtual circle there. There are countless big virtuals there, and there are Ichukas and Vastord who are more terrifying than ordinary big virtuals. With your strength, you will easily die there. Rukia looked at Yifeng with a solemn expression. In Rukia's dictionary, ordinary phantoms are already dangerous. Killian-level Daxu must be surrounded by officers in order to join forces. And Achukas and Vastord. That's a complete captaincy. Rukia, the virtual circle is indeed very dangerous, but as gods of death, we want to walk on the edge of danger. If we stop because of fear, what kind of gods of death are we? Although Yifeng felt that Rukia was a bit suspicious of a crow's mouth. But Yifeng didn't care at all. Because he also knew that Rukia cared about him. But you. Rukia listened to Yifeng's words. His expression froze. Is this still the Yifeng she knew in this world? When did he have such a realization? Looking at the stunned lowly Yu, Yifeng smiled and said, "You don't want to do it, you can rest assured, I will definitely come back alive. Didn't I promise you that I will bring you to this world in the future? I will definitely say to do it." Quote. After Yifeng finished speaking, the two looked into each other's eyes, speechless for a while. Finally, Rukia finally made up her mind and said, "Okay. Then I'll wait for you to come back. You must not break your promise to do what you promise me in the future." Chapter 468_Nirvana Dream. Don't worry, I will never break my promise to say what I will do in the future. Yifeng smiled sincerely. Mouth grinned. White Fang was revealed. After arranging Rukia's affairs, Yifeng walked into the Technology Development Bureau. The person in charge of receiving him was the vice captain of the 12th Division, Ni Yinmeng. Deputy Captain Yifeng, please, Captain Maoli has been waiting in the laboratory for a long time. Although Ni Yinmeng's tone was modest, her pretty face was expressionless. Okay, please lead the way. Yifeng thoughtfully looked at Ni Yinmeng's back. Feeling very sorry. Nian Dream is a very special god of death. In the entire soul world, the goddess of death basically wears pants. Only Nian Meng wore a super short skirt all day. It's not because of her fiery personality, but because she is an artificial soul created by Namori. Completely ordered by Namori alone. Yifeng thought that such a beautiful woman would be dominated by a lunatic like Ni Yuli. He felt very sorry for Nian Dream. Artificial souls are also souls. There are also feelings. There are also 7 emotions and 6 baths. How can you treat her like this? Night Wind thinks. He still had to find a chance to get involved in this kind of depraved thing with an artificial liver. Yifeng followed behind Ni Yinmeng into Yuli's laboratory. Have to say, from the structure and decoration of the entire laboratory, it can be seen that Ni Yuli is definitely an extremely crazy scientist. There's a lot of horrible stuff in those horrible instruments. But, in Ni Yuli's eyes, those things are as beautiful as top-notch works of art. Hee, did Vice Captain Yifeng come so early? Seeing Yifeng entering the door, Ni Yuli stopped the experiment at hand and instructed Ni Yinmeng to bring a chair for Yifeng. Sit down. There's no need to sit down. Can Captain Ni help me open up my dark voice? Yifeng smiled lightly. A type of person like Namori. Yifeng is not particularly willing to touch too much. After all, ghosts know metamorphosis. Will metamorphosis be contagious? He. Ni Yuli let out a strange smile. Her pupils shrank slightly, and said, "Are you in such a hurry to go to the virtual circle? That place is a very scary place." Have to say, relying on his unique face, Ni Yuli really made the virtual circle terrifying, and portrayed it deeply. Of course, let me tell you the truth, the big task is the biggest. Nightwind shrugged. Then he told this earth-shattering secret directly in front of others. But it's a pity. Still no one believes it. Okay, this is a world-piercing talisman that allows you to pass through the directional black cavity, but after using it, it needs to cool down for 3 days before it can be activated again. But I think with the strength of Vice Captain Yifeng, to live in the virtual circle for 3 days, it should be as it all right. Ni Yuli raised the corner of her mouth, revealing a stern smile. To this, Yifeng smiled indifferently. Received the boundary-piercing talisman from Ni Yuli. The boundary-piercing amulet is cold to start with. It contains a faint power of space. It's amazing. It's only 3 days. In fact, I plan to stay in the virtual circle for a while. Yifeng said. After all, the opportunity to travel to the virtual circle is rare. Oh, it's rare for Vice Captain Yifeng to be so elegant, so I wish you a smooth journey. Ni Yuli let out a sneer. Rare, isn't it? Then you stay there forever. Then, Black Cavity starts. Yifeng put the world-piercing talisman in his arms and jumped into the Black Cavity. The Black Cavity on the side of the Soul World is closed. Ni Yuli let out a frantic laugh. Ha ha ha, who made you break out the spiritual pressure on Liuhun Street that day? Let you suffer more in the virtual circle this time. I'm a gorgeous dove sign. All right. Today is the last day of December and the last day of 2020. As usual. One day off at the end of the month. So that's all for today. In addition, say something off topic. The plane of death is a bit uncomfortable to write. I actually wrote about death before, but it broke down. I feel that this plane is very difficult to write, and I can't always write the feeling I want. Of course. This time it was much better than last time. But it's still a little uncomfortable to write. But anyway. Now that you have started writing, you must finish it. Finally. Happy New Year's Eve everyone. Chapter 469_Nelly L. Virtual Circle. It was lonely. Suddenly. A strange black spot appeared in the void. In an instant. The black spot quickly expanded into a cavity. Space torn. Yifeng stepped out of the black cavity. Huh. Yifeng frowned. What caught Yifeng's eyes was a barren desert. There is no life. Isn't it right? Didn't you say that the target location was a ruin? How did it become a desert? Did the coordinates change? Yifeng looked at the low cold moon in the sky. There was a hint of sarcasm on the corner of his mouth. The Haicheng and the piercing talisman were both written by Ni Yuli. And Ni Yuli is very weird and crazy. But he would never allow any flaw in the products he developed. So, since Yifeng did not appear in the designated position. So, this is most likely because Ni Yuli moved his hands and feet on the piercing symbol. Of course. It could also be blue dye. But for now, none of these things matter. Because Yifeng's goal was not to explore the virtual circle, but to sign in and punch in the Great Void Forest. However, where is the entrance to the Great Void Forest? Yifeng touched his chin. Although Yifeng knew that the Great Void Forest was under the ground of the Void Circle. But, if you can't find the entrance, he cannot enter the Great Void Forest. Just when Yifeng was thinking about how to find the Great Void Forest. Suddenly. Boom. There was a terrifying explosion in the desert in the distance. Immediately after. A huge figure quickly shuttled through the desert. Straight towards the direction of the night wind. Boom. With a loud bang. An owl-shaped phantom with a pair of black wings rose into the sky from under the desert with a roar, and flew towards Yifeng. It's really not bad, it's a virtual circle. Even the ordinary virtual here has such a powerful spiritual pressure, not bad. Yifeng smiled casually. Subsequently, his spiritual pressure surged in his body, and he directly used the spiritual pressure to hit the UFO from the sky to the ground. Immediately after, the night wind ghost came out of its sheath. A sharp blade flashed across. Directly cut the owl-shaped virtual into 2 halves. Ow! The terrifying owl fell to the ground and let out a terrifying roar. Immediately after, the cross-section of the owl-shaped virtual body that was cut in half, suddenly drilled out countless things like poisonous snakes, linking his body again. And, after recovering the owl-shaped emptiness of the body, the spiritual pressure in the body suddenly increased again. Then, his size also began to swell rapidly. In an instant, it turned into the appearance of a big white snake. Very horrible. Ah, I feel like I haven't seen such a disgusting ability for a long time, I really miss it. Yifeng's voice fell. The tip of Gush's knife was aimed at the white skeleton on top of the snake-shaped virtual head. Shoot him, Ghost. Boom. Ghost Toru instantly thickened and stretched. The blade pierced through the snake-shaped virtual bone mask, penetrated its body, and came out from the tail. It hurts to look at it. After Yifeng lightly wiped out this ghost, his eyes were slightly gloomy. This empty mind seems to be a little confused. Yifeng originally planned to catch a few virtual heads. Then they were tortured to the depths of their souls. But if the emptiness of the virtual circle is generally low in intelligence, then his plan will obviously fail. Let's ignore it for now, let's look for it. Anyway, today is the first day, so don't rush back. Nightwind shrugged. In the eyes of the other members of the 9th Squad, Yifeng needs to stay in the virtual circle for 3 days. Very dangerous. But in Yifeng's view, only 3 days. How can he pretend in the virtual circle? Then, in order to find the entrance to the Great Void Forest as soon as possible, Yifeng started a journey of burning, killing and looting on the surface of the virtual circle. That's it. 3 days in a row passed. There are countless imaginary numbers thrown away by Yifeng. He also tried to torture those virtuals in various inhumane ways. But among the emptiness Yifeng encountered, there were not many IQ online at all. Most of the virtuals are fighting by instinct. Wisdom is quite low. Of course. It is not that the imaginary of the imaginary circle is weaker than that of the present world. Just because they devoured a large number of other virtual souls, their own souls are chaotic, no doubt with bloodthirsty beasts. Until they were upgraded to a Chuka's level Great Void by swallowing, wisdom will be reformed. So, Yifeng wasted 3 days of hard work and researched many evil torture methods, but it was useless at all. This made him somewhat disappointed. This day. Dilapidated building full of dead Mukuro. A huge Killian-class dwarf was chasing 3 weak dwarfs to launch an attack. The appearance of the 3-headed virtual is very strange. The virtual on the left has a huge face and a bloated body, but it doesn't look scary at all, but it makes people feel a little funny. The empty body on the right is similar to a normal human, but with a horse face mask. The expression is also very funny. In the middle of the two of them is a small girl with a slender figure. The little girl is wearing a loose green gown, covered very tightly, if not for the half-white skull mask on top of her head. She is like a lovely human girl. At this moment, the big virtual is frantically attacking them with virtual flashes. Pexi, Chaka, what should we do? This big dagger is too scary, shouldn't we really be eaten by him? Xiao Nilu wiped the snot from her face as she ran. Tears, obviously very scared. Don't be afraid, Sir Nilu, we will definitely protect you. That's right, isn't it Daxu? If we are full of firepower, it's also Daxu level. The two fell silent. Orangutan Yuhi, colored phantom flashed into the sky. Boom. The place where they had just settled was instantly blasted into a big pit. The 3 were directly blown away by the airwaves generated by the virtual flash hitting the ground. Quite embarrassed. Ooh, this time is really over, I can't run anymore. Nilu looked at the monster in front of her and let out a timid cry. Ow hoo. The big virtual saw the prey finally stopped. Let out a growl, preparing to launch a final attack on them. But this time, a dazzling blade flashed across. Black Moon Kiba passed directly from behind Daxu through the huge Daxu mask on his head. Boom. Greatly fell to the ground. Yifeng appeared in front of Nilu and the others in a blink of an eye. Don't worry, I'll kill Daxu for you. Yifeng put away Gush, grinned, revealing a little white fang, and greeted the 3 of them with an old-fashioned smile. Chapter 470_Lost Night Wind. Xiao Nilu looked at Yifeng cutely. Obviously, she didn't feel the kindness from Yifeng's smile. Ah. This is Zanpakuto in the Death Lord outfit. Have we met the god of death? We are really screwed this time. A sharp cry resounded through the sky. The night wind was startled. Hey, I said, can the three of you be normal? Is this the way you treat your savior? Is it good to be a little virtuous? Yifeng shrugged. But can't blame people for this either. After all, death and emptiness are natural enemies. Although it is rare for the god of death to set foot in the virtual circle, the terrifying legends about the god of death, these lovely virtual people have also heard a little. Death god, why do you want to save us? What are you doing? The two subordinate officers beside Nilu kept Xiao Nilu behind, for fear that the death god saved them because he had some terrible hobbies. I save you because you are all wise. I just want to ask you for directions. I will not kill you. Yifeng smiled and shook his head. A cute girl like Nilu. Even if she is fake. Yifeng wouldn't kill her. Oh, ask for directions. Big Head looked at Yifeng with a wary expression and asked, is what you said true? Don't lie to me, I read quite a few books. Of course, otherwise, do you think that with the current strength of the three of you, you can live to say so many lines in front of me? Yifeng shook his head. Although Nilu was once number 3 in the 10 Blades of Broken Face. But she was injured by Nutra's sneak attack at the beginning, and now she can't exert her strength at all. Weak as a child. As for her two subordinate officers, Yifeng wouldn't even take them seriously. After Yifeng finished speaking, the two subordinate officers of Nilu glanced at each other. The eyes are quite dignified. Tell the truth. With Yifeng's ability to kill Killian in seconds, it is not difficult for them to judge that Yifeng is definitely a strong player in the Soul realm. They are indeed not Yifeng's opponents. But a god of death asking for directions. But it's impossible to believe it if it's a normal emptiness. Just when Da Mayangsu and Ma Mayangsu were thinking about Yifeng's true purpose. The cute little Nilu has already drilled out from between the two of them. She looked at Yifeng curiously, and Mingmeng said, ah. Mr. Death, are you lost? Xiao Nilu felt very wrong. Doesn't it mean that the gods of death are very scary? If they catch the virtual, they will even eat it raw. So, don't you have to run away when you encounter it? But why does Nilu feel that the death god in front of her is completely different from what Dondochaka and the others told her? He is not only handsome, but also warm. Gives Nilu the feeling that she wants to ask for a hug. Ah, yes, I'm really lost. Yifeng smiled, squatted down, looked at the lovely Nilu with a smile and asked, so, little sister, can you do Big Brother a favor? Nilu looked at the smile on Yifeng's face with a confused look. The fear in my heart has long since dissipated. A god of death with such a warm smile can never be a bad person, right? Then, like a child, Nilu looked at Yifeng with innocent eyes and said, of course you can, Big Brother just saved us, you are our benefactor, you can ask Nilu to do anything for you. Quote. Can you do anything? Yifeng looked up and down the young Nilu. Suddenly I had a bold idea. Cough, I want to go to the Great Void Forest. Do you know where the nearest entrance is? Yifeng coughed twice, temporarily expelling bold ideas from his serious mind. Ah. Hear the night wind question. The three of Nilu let out an exclamation together. What are you doing in that fucking place? It's a super scary place. Nilu covered her mouth. He looked at Yifeng with a surprised look on his face. They have also been to the Great Void Forest. But that place is full of crises, and only those who have lost their spiritual wisdom will choose to go to that place to devour evolution. Yes, those who dare to enter the Great Void Forest are all strong. If you go to that place, you will be torn apart by them. The horse face shook his head violently. Although Yifeng is the god of death. But Ma Mayangsu felt that Yifeng seemed to be different from the general god of death. So, he also didn't want Yifeng to die in a terrifying place like the Great Void Forest. There is a reason why I have to go to the Great Void Forest. Yifeng shook his head, stood up, and said, you just need to tell me the nearest entrance here. even though Yi Feng knew that Nailu and the others had good intentions. But heaven and earth have the greatest task. He must go to this great void forest. After all, those who choose to strive for progress will never stop because of difficulties. Then, well, seeing Yi Feng's resolute attitude, the big face hesitated and said, "The nearest entrance here is in a white sand area, but there is an Echuka's class Daxu is entrenched there, we have to be careful." Quote. The white sand zone. Yi Feng touched his chin and recalled some of the plots in his memory. The Echuka's class Daxu you mentioned as the guardian of the white sands, right? Huh, you've actually heard of Beisha guarding Nulugong. The big face was stunned for a moment, but he didn't delve into anything. He continued. Under the piece of white sand that Nulu just controlled, is one of the entrances to the Great Void Forest, and it is also the one closest to here. As long as you drill down from the ground there, you can enter the Great Void Forest. Okay, can you take me there? After all, it's really easy to get lost here. Nightwind shrugged. Now, he finally began to understand Lu Suolong and Kenpachi more. Sometimes getting lost is really easy. Are you really going there? But Nulugong, after all, is an Echuka's level Daxu. What if we are discovered? Nailu asked weakly. White Sand Guardian Nulugong is a very special Dashway. As long as he is in the white sand area under his control, he is almost undefeated. Superb. If it's discovered, just kill him, so wouldn't it be a perfect infiltration? Yi Feng smiled indifferently. But that smile made the three of Nailu couldn't help but shudder. Knew it. Death is such a terrifying creature. Chapter 471_White Sand Guardian. About half a day passed. Nailu and the others finally took Yefeng to a white desert area. Going further is the entrance to the Great Void Forest. However, why do I always have a bad feeling? Is it the leaping calamity of the left eye or the leaping calamity of the right eye? The big-faced right eyelid kept twitching, although he wasn't sure what that meant either. But this feeling made him very uncomfortable. Don't worry, you are all virtual creatures who have already died once. Are you still afraid of death? Yi Feng said. Ah, Yi Feng-kun, what you said seems to make sense. But why do I always feel that something is not right? The big face was stunned. God Miao has already died once. The one who died is from that human, right? We have gained a new life. If we die, even if we can get a new life again, it's not us anymore. That's it. Just when they were discussing what the essence of life really was, a mighty white tornado suddenly hit from a distance. Wherever. Not an inch of grass is left. Of course. There was no grass in this broken place. Everyone, be careful, get down. Beisha's guardian Nulu just found us. Dalian swallowed his saliva and issued a warning. Don't panic, just leave me alone. Yi Feng said indifferently. In the face of that mighty tornado, Yi Feng raised his palm. As soon as he gave up the chant, Onidao immediately arranged it. The 58th of the Broken Way, Tianlin. The sound fell. A huge whirlwind gushed out from Yi Feng's palm. It collided with a tornado that came from a distance. A violent hurricane stirred up. The hurricane drifted away. Uzumaki appeared not far away. Countless white sands poured out from the ground. Between a few breaths, the white sand condensed into a giant-like monster. He is the white sand guardian Nulugong that Dalianshu said before. Lord Nulugong, we just want to go to the Great Void Forest from here, can you give us a face? Big Face swallowed saliva. Although the power of his own Lord Nailu has disappeared, but Nailu's bad-faced identity is still displayed here, and he still hopes that others can give them a face. But it's a pity. His hair probably wasn't enough for Yuhi. Bold. The person standing behind you is clearly the god of death. You are vain, you dare to invade my territory with the god of death. Why don't you lie down and die? The giant Nulugong let out a low growl. Subsequently, he unceremoniously raised his fist and slammed it down on the heads of the four. No chance to explain at all. Boom. A huge fist fell, wrapped in a strong wind. To this, Yifeng slashed out with a knife. A sharp sword light burst out from the blade, coerced with endless coercion. Not only did he chop off the arm guarded by Beisha, he also slashed at the Daxu mask guarded by Beisha. Rustling. Nulugong's mask was shattered by Yifeng. His tall body began to slacken, turning into white sand scattered all over the sky, and the scene was like setting off fireworks. Ah, is this big man so easy to kill? Is he really a Chukas? The cute little Nailu raised her head with a surprised look on her face. Isn't it that a Chukas is super powerful? Why was Brother Yefeng slashed with a knife? But just when Nailu's voice fell, the white desert beneath their feet suddenly shook violently. The quicksand on the ground began to gather again, almost in the blink of an eye. Beisha's guardian Nulugong has turned into the tall and mighty appearance just now. Grim Reaper, your strength is not weak. But in this desert, my white sand guardian is an immortal existence. Nulu just looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. Subsequently, he made a big move, and countless mad sands swept away. The white sand, like countless sharp knives, shrouded Yifeng and the four of them. Sure enough, it's exactly the same as in my memory. If you don't get rid of these sands, it seems that there is really no way to deal with you. Yifeng's mouth twitched. A terrifying chill emanated from his zanpakudo, instantly freezing the spirits in the air into ice cubes. And at the same time, Nulugong was also frozen into sand sculptures by the night wind along with the mad sand he sent out. Such a powerful freezing ability. Your zanpakudo is actually an ice type. With a big face, he looked at the guardian of Beisha who was frozen into an ice sculpture in front of him. I couldn't help swallowing my saliva. After all, the other party really turned into a sand sculpture now. Is this the entrance to the Great Void Forest? How do I get down there? Yifeng asked directly. Use brute force to pierce the sand layer here immediately. Da Lianshu said. From here to the forest of Daxu, it is about 300 meters deep. With your strength, it will take 3 or 2 days. It should be possible. Quote. Understood. Then, Nightwing nodded. He shoved the ghost into the white sand. Then, the ability to stretch is activated. The razor-sharp ghost covered with Yifeng's terrifying spiritual pressure instantly penetrated the sand. Next moment, Yifeng really sensed through the ghost that there was a wide space below. This is the case. Da Mayangsu and Ma Mayangsu looked at Yifeng in astonishment. To be frank, don't look at the two of them now reduced to a funny ratio. But they have also been highlighted by scriptures. If their broken face was not forcibly broken by number 5, they are also powerful giants. So, the knowledge of the two of them is not weak at all. And with their knowledge, this night wind is already powerful and a little unreasonable. Okay, thank you for bringing me here. If you're not ready to go, then let's leave. Yifeng looked at Nailu and smiled. Yifeng still likes Nailu very much. But now is not the time. Someday, Yifeng may return to the virtual circle again, help Nailu restore her original appearance, and take her to do many things. Then, Brother Yefeng, you have to be careful. Remember that you have promised others that you will take them to the world and the world of corpses to see in the future. Nailu looked at Yifeng with a longing look on her face. Children naturally yearn for the outside world. She really hoped that Yifeng could fulfill the promise he made in the future. Don't worry, Xiao Nailu, I will definitely take you to play a lot of fun things in the future. Yifeng touched Nailu's little head and showed a touching smile. Then, an astonishing spiritual pressure surged on the ghost. Yifeng fell directly into the great void forest along the channel opened by Goosh. I wish you all a happy new year. Chapter 472_Soli. The virtual circle is vast. But the number of voids on the surface is not particularly large. Because The vast majority of the virtual devoured a certain number of the same kind. It becomes very bloodthirsty. They will follow their instincts into the great void forest. There, powerful virtual societies continue to devour each other. When one of the most powerful phantoms devoured hundreds of its weaker counterparts, he will evolve into the great void called Killian. Killian's appearance is roughly the same. They all have black bodies and white masks with long noses. They are huge in size, but their movements are very slow, and their IQs are similar to those of beasts. This is because the virtual is in the process of devouring. Souls will merge with each other. Mental confusion. But when a great void continues to devour its own kind, it is possible for him to evolve and become a great void named Achukas. The Achukas level Daxu can already be regarded as a powerhouse in the virtual circle. Most of Aizen's 10 blades are also made of Askachu class big phantoms. This level of emptiness has taken away from Killian's appearance. They also have different abilities. At this point, very similar to the difference between Zanpakudo's first soul and Zanpakudo's sword soul. Ding! It is detected that the host has arrived at the check-in location, and the check-in is now started. Please don't leave the host. The countdown has been arranged properly. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Sign in done. Congratulations to the host for getting the reward, Soul Eye. The system sound fell. The unspeakable thing happened again. That's a wonderful feeling that only those who work hard can experience. The Eye of the Soul. What kind of power is this? Yifeng stroked his chin thoughtfully. Subsequently, eyes blinked. An icy blue light suddenly bloomed in Yifeng's eyes. Immediately after, Yifeng felt as if the whole world had undergone earth-shaking changes. Two completely different perspectives appeared in Yifeng's consciousness. One is the viewing angle that Yifeng can normally see, just like before. The other is a very weird perspective. In that perspective, Yifeng seemed to be able to see everything around him from above. Can even see himself. You can even look at yourself. It felt weird and real. It's hard to describe. It's kind of interesting. But what kind of power is it? Yifeng opened the description in the skill panel with great interest. Check out the function of the Eye of the Soul. God's perspective. Yifeng touched his chin in surprise. According to the system instructions, after the eyes of the soul were opened, he seemed to have the perspective of God. For example, he can have a very wide field of view by zooming the screen. But this ability is not simply the ability to enhance visual range. According to the skill description, all things, no matter how disguised or hidden, will become invisible from his God's perspective. Even where there is no light. It will also be displayed in the perspective of Yifeng's soul eye in a special form. The Eye of the Soul can see through demonic illusion and falsehood, that is to say, Aizen's Kyoka Shueyu has no effect on me. The Eye of the Soul is not the five senses. So, even if Yifeng's five senses are controlled by Jinghua Shueyu, he can also see the truth of everything happening around him through the eyes of the soul. To this, Yifeng nodded in satisfaction. Although Yifeng didn't know that he had already fallen in love with Aizen's Jinghua Shueyu. But after having this skill, he no longer needs to worry about Aizen's unreasonable abilities. After signing in, Yifeng found through the Eye of Soul that a large number of Killian were approaching him. Obviously, in a place like the Great Void Forest, Yifeng, who possesses pure spiritual power, is like a little daughter-in-law who has fallen into the old-fashioned base camp. But these are absolutely unimaginable. Yifeng is not a little daughter-in-law, but a handsome guy with pinched feet. Ow! Roar! Ow! All kinds of terrifying voices sounded from all directions. In other words, Nailu and the others were very measured and did not choose to follow. Otherwise, hear so many terrifying voices of emptiness. They must have been terrified. The Great Void Forest is really terrifying, so I'll just be here and make it up for you. The corner of Yi Feng's mouth twitched slightly. The ghost is out of the sheath. The black blade suddenly radiated endless thunder. The power of thunder that Yi Feng used was not Gusha's original ability, but the power that Gusha obtained after he devoured Liangbing's lightning halberd. On power. Yi Feng felt that Gui Toru was definitely not weaker than Yan Lingwan, who was the vice-captain of the first team, Jiro. After all, one knife and one Kirin is no joke. Then, the night wind is on fire. Bathed in the blue light of thunder. He rushed towards the virtual group in the darkness like a thunder god of war. Sizzle. Boom. The azure blue Lei Dianchi Rin soared into the sky, his mouth was wide open, and the thunder tongue swayed in his mouth, sweeping across 10 directions. This kind of attack is not only powerful. The power is also terrifying. Every time Yi Feng slashed down, there would be groups of big virtual beings ruthlessly swallowed by thunder and lightning. The entire Great Void Forest was filled with all kinds of piercing roars. Night was slain into day. The killing continued for half an hour. Finally, another death god in the Great Void Forest discovered Yi Feng. He is the god of death Aceto. Yi Feng's gaze fell on Aceto, the god of death. Aceto also came to Yifeng from the darkness. Which team do you come from? With your strength, what seat do you hold in the team? Aceto asked curiously looking at Yi Feng. 9th Division, Deputy Captain. Yi Feng replied simply. Oh, with your strength, you're actually only the vice-captain of the 9th Division. It seems that the current Guardian Team 13 should be very strong. Aceto's voice was full of relief, and he asked Yifeng again. By the way, what's up with the guy in Kariashiki, is he still as reckless as before? Kiyashiki, Yifeng frowned slightly, recalled briefly, and said, you should be talking about the 7th generation Kenpachi, he is already dead, because of Yashira Kenpachi. Kariashiki is the 7th generation of Kenpachi. About 200 years ago, Kariashiki was defeated by the first Yashira Kenpachi Mojo Shuangya. Heard the death of an old friend. Aceto was silent for a while, then sighed and said, as expected, this may be the fate of Kenpachi. In the realm of corpses, only the Shinigami with the strongest swordsmanship can have the name of Kenpachi. I want to be Kenpachi. It is necessary to defeat the previous Kenpachi. Kendo masters like them. Failure is basically the same as death. So, although Aceto was saddened by the news of Kariashiki's death, but he also understood. This is the fate of Kariashiki. It is also the fate of Kenpachi. By the way, why did you come here? Aceto asked. Did the Soul Society finally decide to attack the Void Circle? Chapter 473 _ Is it bad to live? Death and Shu are mortal enemies. But it is not an easy thing to want to cross the border. So, the two sides have maintained this seemingly unreasonable stable state. There are only occasional minor conflicts in this world. Attack. Not yet, I'm here just to complete an ordinary exploration mission. Yifeng shrugged and said, by the way, you should have entered the virtual circle back then, the survivors of the group of death gods, right? Do you need me to take you out of here? Although the function of the piercing symbol is not perfect. But bringing one more person back should not be a problem. But Aceto shook his head. He glanced at Yifeng and said, thank you for your kindness. However, I'm used to the life here. I will continue to stay here, continue to kill Shu of the Great Void Forest, and continue to avenge my dead comrades. Hear this answer. Yifeng did not show any surprise. After all, not everyone pursues a comfortable life like him. Everyone has different pursuits. If placed in the ninja world, that's why everyone's ninja is different. So, the night wind has nothing to say. Another virtual group is coming soon, and it's almost time for me to leave this place. Is there anything you need me to help you bring back to the Soul Realm? Yifeng asked. There's nothing left to say. Let the old friends in the Soul Society think I'm dead here. Aceto shook his head. Good. Since others have put everything down. Just to stay here day and night to cut the virtual. Yifeng naturally had nothing to say. He started in an instant. It didn't take long before he returned to the position where he first entered the Great Void Forest. The ghost strikes again. Yifeng successfully returned to the ground part of the virtual circle. This ghost mission is finally completed, and I can finally return to the Soul Realm. Yifeng, who returned to the ground, let out a long sigh of relief. Although the Great Void Forest is not dangerous to Yifeng. But, compare. Yifeng, of course, still felt that Soul Realm was more comfortable. Then, Yifeng hurried towards the position set by Ni Yuli with full firepower. There. Yifeng can use the piercer to open the black cavity again. However, just when Yifeng was about to arrive at the scheduled location, he suddenly felt that there seemed to be a rather powerful Reiatsu from a distance in front of him. And almost at the same time Yifeng sensed the other party. The other party also began to rush towards Yifeng's direction quickly. Obviously, the other party also found Yifeng. The response and speed are good, is it possible that it is broken? Yifeng frowned. After all, he came to the virtual circle this time because of Aizen's conspiracy. So, could this broken face be Aizen's chess piece that had been arranged here to kill him? Thought here. A playful smile appeared on the corner of Yifeng's mouth. I wanted to keep a low profile and complete the mission, but since you are playing on my mind, let's give you a little surprise as a gift. Not much effort. The broken face arranged by Aizen appeared in front of Yifeng. The opponent is tall. A huge crescent sickle was behind him. An arrogant smile appeared on his face. It looks murderous. HMPH, God of Death, I've been waiting here for you for several days, and finally let me wait for you. Come on, how do you want to die? Can you divide it into 8 stages? The broken face in front of Yifeng is called Nutra. His ranking in the 10 blades is number 5. It is characterized by having the hardest steel skin. Super defense. At the same time, Nutra is also very bellicose. It belongs to the same type as Tsuragi Kenpachi. Po Mian, isn't it bad to live, why do you have to take the initiative to die? Yifeng's mouth slightly raised, revealing a disdainful expression. Hehe, it seems that you are really confident, then let me introduce myself. You must not be scared to cry. Nutra sneered a few times, and then said with a grim expression, I am. Nutra didn't finish his sentence. Yifeng interrupted him directly, don't talk nonsense, I have no interest in the players who are about to be killed by me. Although the 10 blades of the virtual circle are strong. But Yifeng didn't take them seriously at all. Hehe, are all the gods of death as arrogant as you now? Nutra sneered and held the crescent-shaped scythe behind her in her hand, then see if you can block my knife, then decide whether you are qualified to be arrogant in front of me. Nutra's cold voice fell. The sickle in his hand suddenly shot. Like a cold moon, it slashed towards Yifeng's neck. Clang. Yifeng raised his hand lightly, activated the still blood equipment, and directly blocked Nutra's slash with his palm. Bao Mian, is this all your power? You waited for me for a few days, just to make me happy. Yifeng said disdainfully. The still blood suit is the ability of the Quincy. After the skill is activated, Yifeng's defense is greatly increased. So, he could easily catch Nutra's blade with his bare hands. What? Nutra was slightly taken aback. Subsequently, a sense of danger came over me. He quickly retracted the scythe and left the place with a swivel. But, just when his figure just appeared, the night wind has disappeared in place. And in the direction where the night wind disappears. But there was a voice full of jokes. Bao Mian, why do you dodge? Don't you think that as long as you keep the distance between me, I can't cut you? Just when Nutra heard this, he already felt a terrifying blade wind coming. Too fast. Faster than sound. It's almost too late for him to use the ring to evade. He could only watch the black knife in front of him getting closer and closer, and he could only turn slightly to the side, barely avoiding the key point. Puff! Knife fell off smoothly. Yifeng easily cut off one of Nutra's arms. And at the same time, Nutra started to ring again. Pulled away the distance from Yifeng. It's impossible. What I have is the hardest steel skin of all the broken faces of all ages. How could I be cut by you? Nutra gasped heavily. He let out a roar towards Yifeng with a ferocious face. Bao Mian, is this question difficult to understand? Yifeng smiled lightly and said, after all, you have said it before, your defense is only the strongest among Bromian. The sound of the night wind fell. The same knife cut out again. This time, Nutra had learned from the previous experience and successfully responded. Although Yifeng was still slashing his chest, Bromian had a powerful regeneration ability, and this injury was nothing. Bastard Reaper. Don't get carried away like this in front of Lao Su. You simply don't understand how powerful your opponent is. You don't even know what my strongest form is. Pray, Holy Crying Mantis. Chapter 474_beheaded. Nutra let out a roar. After the sound fell. Just see. The golden violent spiritual pressure surged out from his weapon, instantly wrapping his body. The wound on his body healed quickly, and a pair of curved horns drilled out on top of his head. And on his back. The terrifying sound of bone squeezing sounded. In the blink of an eye. 4 arms grew out of his back. Even the arm he had just chopped off by Yifeng was instantly restored to its original state. Is it awesome to be able to cut off one of my arms? I'm telling you now, I still have more arms like that. After Nutram completed his transformation, he looked up to the sky and let out a burst of laughter. This is his true attitude. It is also the strongest posture. Boy, give me death, but don't be hacked to death by me too soon. That would be very boring. Holy Crying Mantis Neutron's face revealed a fanatical fighting intent. He jumped up. 6 huge crescent scythes cut sonic booms in the air. Like a meteor, it attacked and killed Yifeng. Clang. This time, Yifeng lifted the ghost up. The terrifying Reiatsu surged on the black blade. At the same time blocked Neutron's 6 sickles. Boom. In this fierce confrontation, the ground beneath Yifeng's feet collapsed instantly, and countless cracks spread in all directions. And at the same time, Nutram suddenly opened his mouth and stuck out his long, pointed tongue with the number 5 printed on it. Then, on the tip of his tongue, a golden terrifying spiritual pressure completed the gathering. A phantom flash behind the blade erupted at close range. Boom. This is Nutra's real killer move. Nutra's tactics are simple. He first hooked Yifeng's weapon with a sickle, so that Yifeng couldn't withdraw the weapon, thereby controlling the movements of the night wind. Of course, in Nutra's view, night wind can also drop his Zanpakuto. But death without Zanpakuto is nothing to fear. So, he concluded that Yifeng would not abandon Zanpakuto. So, he can kill Yifeng with this close-range virtual flash. The tactical arrangement is very reasonable. But, just when the yellow virtual flash exploded, Yifeng put out his left hand indifferently, and the ice demonic energy surged in his palm, directly pinching Nutra's virtual flash in his hand. Use force. Boom. Under this endless cold, the endless coercion contained in the virtual flash was completely wiped out. It was directly crushed by the night wind. How is this possible? How is it possible that there is a god of death who can crush the virtual flash with his hands? Confusion flashed across Nutra's pupils. This is not reasonable. This unscientific. This hang is unheard of. Bro Mian, is this your full strength? If that's the case, then you can already die. Yifeng's voice fell. A terrifying sword light burst forth from the ghost. Whoosh. Nutra's 6 scythes were cut off by the night wind at the same time. That moment, unspeakable despair appeared on Nutra's face. Holy Crying Mantis, Nutra Gilgar, 10 blades no 5. Why after I return to the blade, whether it is the spiritual pressure or the steel skin, is far more than 10 times before I return to the blade, but I still can't stop your sword. After Nutra finished speaking, a bloodline bloomed at the neck. Just like the plum blossoms in the cold winter and 12th lunar month. Nutra, didn't I tell you already? Don't use your broken-faced combat units to measure my lethality. If the reference is different, the results will be completely different. After Yifeng finished speaking, he turned the ghost upside down and blew the blood on the blade. And at the same time, Nutra's head also slid down from the bloodline of his neck. Although the broken face after returning to the blade has a super powerful regeneration ability. But Yifeng did not give him a chance to regenerate. A rush directly blasted Nutra's head and his mask into dust. After destroying Nutra, Yifeng opened the Eye of Soul and carefully explored the surrounding space. Really? He found a device to monitor them in a very hidden place on the ground. Yifeng walked to the instrument, showing a light smile. Yifeng knew. Even if Aizen wasn't on the other end of the surveillance apparatus at this moment, he would definitely see the battle between Yifeng and Nutra in the future. So, he decided to encourage Aizen. This old hidden, I hope you can grow up as soon as possible. When you walk out of the grass, I hope you don't be like your subordinates, so weak that I have no interest in going all out. ... It was during the time when Yifeng had not returned to Soul Realm. Jing Lingting was about to fry because of Yifeng. First Team. Captain's Meeting. Boom. The Commander-in-Chief, Yamamoto Yuan Lusai Shigekuni, forcefully shoved the crutches in his hand to the ground. The violent impact directly smashed a pothole out of the floor of the conference room. Captain Namori. When on Earth can you open the directional black cavity leading to the virtual circle again? If the reinforcements can't enter the virtual circle for a long time. Deputy Captain Yifeng is afraid that it will really be a disaster. Ever since Yifeng joined the team. Although the old man Yamamoto has not communicated with Yifeng. But, in the eyes of Captain Yamamoto, Yifeng is definitely an invaluable talent. But, it's such a talent, he obviously doesn't have much combat experience, yet he was arranged by them to go to a place like the virtual circle to experience. That day. What was he thinking when he made this decision? Is this God's will? Captain, our directional black cavity technology is still immature. If Yifeng doesn't use his piercing charm to open the opening on the side of the virtual circle, I need to reopen a directional black cavity here. It's time. Ni Yuli swallowed her saliva. He has been bearing the wrath of the captain for the past few days. But it is indeed difficult to open the directional black cavity between the soul realm and the virtual circle. If not, the god of death has long gone to conquer the virtual circle. HMPH. How much time do you need? Do you know? Every second of your Technology Development Bureau delays, it increases the danger of Vice Captain Yifeng in the virtual circle. Captain Yamamoto said sullenly. At this time, Toxian is about to stand up. Captain, please believe in Yifeng-kun's strength, he will not have any problems. Toxian wanted to look at Yamamoto Yuanliu Saiju with a sure face. He knew Yifeng's strength very well. In the entire Guardian 13 team. In addition to the vice captain of the first team, Minister Jiro, Yifeng should be the strongest vice captain. So, as long as Captain Aizen holds the audience, with those scattered strengths, Yifeng's life will never be threatened. The market is very stable. So, although Yifeng has not returned for a long time, Dong Xian has to believe that he will definitely come back. Chapter 475_Renji, S. Bankai. Quote. Captain Dongxian. It's not that we don't believe in Vice Captain Yifeng's ability, it's just that you are well aware of the dangers of the virtual circle. Ichimaru Silver laughed and joked. But Tosen Kazuya gave Ichimaru Silver a serious look. although we are real teammates. But Yifeng-kun is the man who will inherit his will in the future. How can they be mocked? Then, see this scene. An intriguing smile appeared on the corner of Aizen's mouth. Dongxian wants Yamanaka Yefeng so much. It looks like he does need some human intervention. ... The door of the 12th Division. Rukia meets Renji Asane. They also discussed Yifeng. Rukia, don't be so naive anymore, that guy hasn't come back for so many days, he must have been killed by Shu. Asanjing Renji was slapped in the face by Yifeng last time. So, he was always haunted. Plus, Rukia has been waiting for Yifeng to return at the gate of the 12th Division recently. How could she care so much about Yifeng? This made Renji even more uncomfortable, and even Yuhi's hair on the top of his head felt a little uncomfortable. Renji, what nonsense are you talking about? Yifeng's strength is higher than yours, how could something happen to him? Rukia's brows furrowed tightly. The night wind has not returned. Rukia and Yukitaki Shuru was very worried about Yifeng's safety. But, like Dong Xian Yao, they also firmly believed that Yifeng would be able to return safely. So, when Rukia heard Renji say such words, she was immediately angry. What's above me? I didn't liberate my Zanpakuto that day, okay. My Shui Wan is very strong. My strength is not as simple as you think, Rukia. Asanjing Renji showed a face full of dissatisfaction. Although he is only a vice captain. But the vice captain is different from the vice captain. Asanjing Renji has secretly trained to become Bankai's vice captain. Only, Renji is still weak in her mastery of Shiamaru Bankai. So he didn't say it publicly. I don't care if it's that simple for you. In short, I believe Yifeng will come back alive. Because he promised me that he would take me to be the king in the world in the future. Rukia Kiba bit her tightly. Cut, don't say these nonsense words here. I think you were spoiled by that guy. Raiji's voice fell. Sudden. There was a commotion from the Technology Development Bureau. Then, Yifeng walked out from the inside with a calm expression on his face. Rukia, what a coincidence. Yifeng looked at Rukia and smiled. This moment, Rukia was startled at first. Then rejoiced. Yifeng, you really came back alive. I knew you would be fine. Rukia is very happy. She knew Yifeng would definitely come back alive. Of course, didn't I tell you before I left? I have to take you to experience life. How could it be possible to die in a virtual circle? Yifeng smiled nonchalantly, and then he noticed Renji Asane who was biting Kiba's teeth beside him, and said. Deputy Captain Asanjing, what's the matter with you? Do you want to have a fight with me again? That's right, I've wanted to avenge you for a long time. Today we have an unrestricted duel, do you dare to fight? Renji looked at Yifeng with full of fighting intent. He was going to get back the face he lost that day. Okay, I have no problem. Yifeng shrugged and said, exactly, we're in the 12th Division, so let's borrow the performance field of the 12th Division. During the non-war period, Zanpakuto, the god of death, is not allowed to be freed at will. If not, Saraiti can be easily destroyed. But the martial arts field is different. The martial arts field is built with murderous stone. Spiritual power and spiritual pressure will be suppressed inside the martial arts arena. So, in this kind of place, all-out fights are allowed. Then, the three came to the performance field of the 12th Division together. Sanjing Renji didn't talk much, and it was a shikai directly when he came up. He holds a knife in his right hand. The palm of the left hand brushed lightly on the handle of the knife. Drink low in the mouth. Roar, Shawaimaru. Whoosh whoosh. After the liberation of Shawaimaru, it became a double-edged snake-bellied sword. The body of the sword was divided into 6 sections and 7 blades. The part from the back of the blade to the middle half of the blade was black, the rest of the blade was silver-white, and there were many protrusions on the blade. Although the liberation of Shuei seems to be only a physical change. But Shuei, whose physical form has changed, can attack at close range as well as at long range. And Shuei can also expand and contract freely according to Renji's operation, transforming into a soft and flexible knife, and attacking like a soft whip to cut down the opponent. Very flexible. Besides, Renji was also able to add strength by using the instantaneous speed that made Xiaomaru stretch. Knock the opponent into the air with the blade. In short, in terms of physical attacks, Maru is a very good Zanpakuto. However, such a good man and such a good knife met an inappropriate opponent. Yifeng raised his hand slightly and grabbed Shuei Maru's blade directly. Subsequently, Yifeng's palm surged. The terrifying Reiatsu rubbed against Shiamaru's blade repeatedly. It made a humming sound. Obviously, this Zanpakuto's sword soul is very hard to be trapped. Renji, is this what you call true strength? I'm really disappointed. Yifeng shrugged. Don't underestimate me, Yamanaka Yifeng. Next is my true strength. Renji sees Shuei Maru has been clamped by Yifeng. He bit Kiba. Decided to use his ultimate move. Bankai. Baboon King Shuei won. As soon as Asanjing Renji's voice fell, the spiritual pressure in his body suddenly increased. At the same time, the Shuei pill in his hand instantly turned into a behemoth under the stimulation of Reiatsu. Break free from Yifeng's control. Swastika. Bankai. Kuchiki Rukia looked at Renji in front of her with a strange expression on her face. Renji, when did you learn Bankai? Shikai is the first stage liberation following Zanpakuto. After Shikai, knife bearer can use some of Zanpakuto's abilities. Bankai is Zanpakuto's second phase of liberation, liberated with power far superior to Shikai, and is Zanpakuto's final form. Bankai is called Shuei Wan, the king of baboons. Its front end is a snake-shaped skeleton. Skull snake head is covered with bright yuhi-colored fur and has a pair of terrifying yellow eyes. Very horrible. Chapter 476_Shikai of Night Breeze. The rear end of the Baboon King Shuei pill is composed of a large number of beige snake bone joints. These joints can be increased or decreased freely according to Renji's spiritual power. Therefore, the true length of the Baboon King Shueiwan is immeasurable. Bankai that increases in power as the master's Reiatsu increases. A late bloomer. Bankai. Yifeng looked at the behemoth in front of him and said with a faint smile, it looks a bit intimidating, but I don't know how strong it is. Yamanaka Yifeng, you'll know right away. Asanjing Renji's voice fell. He raised the Zanpakuto in his hand high. The snake head of the Baboon King's snake tail is high, exuding terrifying coercion, and bites away towards Yifeng. Renji, no, everyone is a member of Gote 13. You don't need to use Bankai to learn from each other. Rukia was shocked, although she wanted to go up to help Yifeng, but it was too late. Because Zanpakuto after Renji Bankai is too fast. It has rushed in front of Yifeng. However, face such an attack. Yifeng just smiled lightly. He raised his palm, a water blue shield appeared in Yifeng's palm. The 39 circular gate fan. The faint voice fell. Renji's Baboon King snake tail collided with Yekazi's defensive ghost path. The two collide. There was a violent impact. But the impact was loud though. But Yifeng was not even half a step back. He looked at Renji and shook his head. You're still too weak, Renji. Subsequently, Yifeng put his left hand on the head of the bone snake. The 63 Thunder Roar Cannon. Yifeng's voice fell. A dazzling golden light bloomed in vain from the palm of his left hand. This moment, the entire space seemed to be torn apart by the golden lightning. Countless thunders are like countless stars falling. The Baboon King Shuei Maru of Asanjing Renji was bombarded into pieces like a ruin. This, actually defeated Renji's Bankai with a ghost. This is too exaggerated. Kuchiki Rukia opened her mouth wide. I can't believe this scene that just happened in front of me. After all, that's Bankai. How could it be defeated so easily? Hey, do you really think that this level of attack can defeat me? Yamanaka Yekas, don't be too naive. A Sanjing Renji looked at the Shiwaimaru that was blown away and scattered on the ground. With a calm face, he shouted out 4 big characters. Kiba the baboon will bite. In an instant, the beige snake bone joints that had just been smashed by the night wind suddenly burst out with pink Yuhi-colored rays of light. Subsequently, countless snake bone joints rushed towards Yifeng like sharp knives. My Bankai's snake bone joints are all connected by my spiritual power, and it cannot be cut off at all. Yamanaka Yekas, wake up. Renji's face was already showing a smile that belonged to a winner. This move is his lore. Very unexpected, and the power is quite impressive. But, just when the serpent bone blade that bloomed Yuhi's light was about to pierce the night wind, a majestic spiritual pressure suddenly burst out from Gui Chei's knife. Boom! The terrifying power of thunder, condensed thousands of thunder arrows, hit the snake bone blade of a Sanjing Renji with great precision. Boom! The blue Reiatsu collides with Renji's Yuhi Saraya. A shock wave like a turbulent sea was set off in the entire Yanwu Hall. Wait until the sound falls. Raiji fell to the ground helplessly. Shiwaimaru in his hand also changed back to the appearance of ordinary Zanpakuto. As if it was hollowed out by the outbreak just now. My Bankai, was defeated. How is this possible? There was a look of despair on Asane Renji's face. After all, Bankai is his strength at the bottom of the box. Originally, he also plans to one day suddenly take it out to shock Captain Kuchiki. But now what? Bankai, who made him proud, was defeated by Yifeng's suspected Shikai power. This moment, Rukia's face. The expressions also became extremely complicated. Today, she was really surprised and frightened. Yifeng, is your Zanpakuto ready for Shikai? Rukia swallowed. Although everyone knows that Yifeng is very strong, but Yifeng's Zanpakuto does not have Shikai, which has long formed a mindset in everyone's mind. After all, he got Zanpakuto. Under normal circumstances. NT the Grim Reaper always brings Zanpakuto by his side, establish a spiritual resonance with it, and let it recognize itself, so as to obtain its Shikai power. How can the night wind be so fast? Yes, I can already Shikai. Yifeng nodded and admitted it generously. No way. There are still many opponents he will meet in the future. It would be too inefficient to always use ghosts. After all, Yifeng doesn't like to call out the name of a skill every time he makes a move. So, it's easier to use a knife. And after having a Shikai, he also won't appear to be out of tune with other people. Rather cool. Tisk tisk tisk, Zanpakuto of the thunder and lightning type, this is very rare in the soul world. Rukia asked Yifeng while lifting Renji from the ground, by the way, your Zanpakuto is called what's the name? The name, let's call it Goosh. Yifeng touched his chin. Original words. Yifeng considered that he might expose more and more abilities through ghosts in the future. So, he originally wanted to temporarily change Guido to Vientiane. But, after weighing the two names, Yifeng felt that he still preferred the name Goosh. Deputy Captain Ah Sanjing, this is the second time you have challenged me on your own initiative. I hope this is the last time. Otherwise, I won't release water next time. Yifeng glanced at Renji. Yifeng doesn't hate Renji. He also didn't want Renji to regard him as a goal in his life to chase after. Because Yifeng felt that the pair of love times was too unfair. That is simply an impossible task. A Sanjing Renji Kiba closed tightly, he was already desperate. Facing this man who even Bankai can't handle. Renji had completely lost his will to fight. The news of Yi Feng's return soon reached the captain's meeting of the first team. Along with this news came the news that Renji Asanjing was already able to Bankai, and that Yi Feng defeated Renji Asanji in Bankai with Shikai of the Thunder type. That's enough Shikai. Is Yi Feng-kun a little too fast? Jingle Chunshui took off the hat from his head. An odd smile appeared on his face. Chapter 477 _ Are you teaching me to do things? Although most of the captains are well informed. But on this aspect of Zanpakuto liberation, they are the same level of cognition as Rukia. To be honest, claimed Zanpakuto. How could it be released so quickly? Completely changed until Kurosaki Ichigo learned Bankai in 3 days. But obviously, now because of the night wind, this thing that was enough to change their 3 views happened ahead of time. Tisk tisk tisk, Zanpakuto of the Thunder Department. Maybe Vice Captain Nagajiro will be very interested in Zanpakuto of Yefeng. Uno Hanaritsu smiled slightly. Well, it must be because Vice Captain Yi Feng encountered extreme danger in the virtual circle. Under the impetus of the crisis, he liberated Zanpakuto's sword soul and obtained this powerful power. Captain Yamamoto breathed a sigh of relief. And helped Yi Feng now make up an explanation. I'll ask Nagajiro to find Yefeng and share with him the experience of using the Zanpakuto of the lightning system. Captain Yamamoto said again. Sparrow Minister Jiro is the vice captain of the first team. But although his seat is only a vice captain, but Nagujiro actually had the strength to be the captain for a long time. Even Sparrow Minister Jiro is an old-fashioned Shinigami who understood Bankai before the birth of Kyoraku and Yukataki. If he hadn't planned to always be an adjutant by Yamamoto Motoyanagi's side. Now, he is definitely already a well-known captain in the Soul Society. Even the terrifying scar on the face of the old man Yamamoto was left by the old man when he was discussing with Jiro. But although Jiro is now not well known in the Soul Society, however, the captains of the Gote 13 team knew his strength very well. His Yanling pill is a very rare Thunderbolt-type Zanpakuto. Power is quite strong. By the way, Renji Asani, the vice captain of the 6th Division, has already understood Zanpakuto's Bankai, which is also good news for the Gote 13th team. Captain Kuchiki, after returning, I hope you can guide him well. Get him the power of Master Bankai as early as possible. Quote. Captain Yamamoto gave an order. Good. Kuchiki Byakuya nodded calmly. Looks like a solid one. But at this moment, he was in a very bad mood. The 6th Division is the noble division. Bankai, his vice captain, lost to Shikai of Yefeng. This made Kuchiki Byakuya feel very shameless. Kuchiki Byakuya's favorability to Yekka's also dropped to freezing point. 5th Squad. Blue Dye Study. After the first team captain meeting ended, Aizen Soyusuke returned to the 5th Division with Tosenyao and Ichimaru Silver. Because they were wearing Aizen's special spiritual mask clothes, the outside world could not sense their spiritual pressure. Coupled with Aizen, Kyoka Suzuki can manipulate the 5 senses of death around him. No one else can find the 2 of them at all. Look at it, this is the information sent by the virtual circle. Aizen said lightly. Although Dong Xian wants to be very pleased with Yi Feng's return. But Aizen's rock-solid state of mind had a ripple. Because why is Yi Feng able to come back? Didn't he have arranged for Nutra to kill Yefeng? Is there something wrong with the virtual circle? Then Aizen took down the surveillance video of the virtual circle through special means. After the 3 of them learned about the process of Yefeng beheading Nutra. The mood is slightly complicated. Yamanaka Yefeng actually has the power to kill Nutra, but it's a pity, he has already been shot by Captain Aizen's Kyoka Suzuki, so it's nothing to be afraid of. Ichimaru Silver glanced at Aizen with a smile. Although Ichimaru Silver was very surprised by Yi Feng's performance. But no matter how amazing the player is, as long as he wins Aizen's Jinghua Shuiyu, it will be useless. So, Ichimaru Silver really felt sorry for Yifeng. Captain Aizen, didn't you tell Yifeng to go to the virtual circle to test him? Why did that guy Nutra appear there? Dongxian was about to swallow his saliva. Nutra is number 5 in the 10 Blades. He is an extremely bloodthirsty and bellicose character. Why did Captain Aizen let Nutra test Yifeng? Dongxian wanted to express that he could not understand a little. Captain Tosen, from the results, Captain Aizen's arrangement seems to be perfect, because we did see a different Yamanaka Yekas. Ichimaru Silver shrugged. It is not difficult to see from the battle between Yifeng and Nutra. The night wind is strong. And he didn't use Zanpakudo's Shikai power at all when he killed Nutra. That is to say, the Yifeng they saw was not Yifeng's true strength. Tosen was about to finish listening to Ichimaru Silver's explanation. He was silent for a while, then nodded and said, "So it is, as expected of Captain Aizen, he really has foresight." Toxian was about to express his admiration for Aizen's divine operation. But this time, Aizen smiled faintly. "Yes, Silver, don't make up some things on your own. I arranged Yifeng to go to the virtual circle, and I arranged Nutra to stay there, just to get rid of Yifeng, because it gave me a bad feeling." Sometimes, Aizen also feels weird. Obviously he will be very calm no matter what happens. But, ever since he met Yifeng for the first time, he always felt that Yifeng made him unable to see through, and always felt that there was some indescribable power that was full of malice towards him. It's a bad feeling. So, Aizen, to make things easier, he arranged for killers like Nutra to get rid of Yifeng. But Aizen never thought of it. His plan this time actually revealed a corner of Yifeng's mysterious veil. But it is also because only a corner is revealed. Aizen's curiosity about Yifeng became even stronger. Get rid of Yifeng. Dongxian wanted to frown slightly, looking at Lan Ran with a look of disbelief. "Captain Aizen, I think Yifeng-kun can understand my justice. Wait until we have trays out one day. He must also be able to understand your justice, so the stronger he is, the better it will be for you. You don't have to worry about Yifeng-kun at all." Toxian wanted to explain to Aizen with oath. He thinks that a young man like Yifeng who is pursuing justice should not put him on the opposite side at all. Just like him and Ichimaru Silver, Yifeng is fully qualified to be called Aizen-sama's subordinate. He wants to try to help Yifeng win this precious qualification. Chapter 478 Aizen's suspicion. After Aizen listened to Dongxian's explanation, he unwittingly took off the black-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose. The mood suddenly changed. "Yes. I am very touched by the fact that you can think about everything from my point of view. But, are you teaching me how to do things now? And remember one sentence. I don't want you to think. I just think it's enough." Blue Dai's voice fell. Dongxian Yao's body trembled slightly. Although Aizen did not break out any momentum. But Dongxian Yao's heart seemed to be ringing an alarm bell. Yes. Captain Aizen is like a god. How could his judgment be wrong? Why should I doubt Captain Aizen? But Yifeng-kun, hey. Dongxian sighed silently. Between those who want to follow him and those he wants to follow, Toxian chose the latter. But actually, Toxian didn't realize a problem at all. From start to finish, he was just a poor creature chosen by Aizen and Yifeng. "Yes, do you really think you know Yifeng?" Aizen asked. I can feel the justice in his heart. It's not like it's deduced. I think in terms of justice, I shouldn't misjudge." Toxian shook his head. After all, Dongxian wants to think that he is absolutely stubborn in terms of justice. However, my opinion is nothing compared to Captain Aizen's opinion. I'd rather trust Captain Aizen's judgment than my own. Hearing Dongxian ask for this dog-licking answer, Aizen smiled indifferently. Yes. Please remember this sentence. No misjudgment is the greatest misjudgment. Whenever. None of us can be arrogant and think we know everything. After all. At this moment. I have waited for the God who has not yet ascended to the sky to become the throne of that day. After speaking. Aizen stood up from her seat. Yefeng's origin is flawless and perfect, but too perfect is also a kind of imperfection. Now. He showed the strength to kill Nutra in the virtual circle, so he is definitely not as pure as you think. Heard here. Ichimaru Silver had a thoughtful look on his face and asked. However, to which faction does a powerhouse like this belong? Apart from us and the Guardian 13 team, there should be no one in the Soul Society who can control the power of a powerhouse like Yifeng. Although Ichimaru Silver also knows that both Kamen and Urahara Kazuki are alive. But their strength should not be enough to control a person like Yifeng. Silver, don't forget, there are more than just death gods in this world. Aizen brought the frame back to his face, he looked out the window, and said lightly, thousands of years ago, that man was not killed by Yamamoto Motoyuki. If the heavy country is completely beheaded, who can guarantee that the Quincy Master will not come back? Quote. Azumo smiled faintly. A dim light flashed across his frame. Aizen watched the battle between Yefeng and Nutra very carefully. So. Although Ichimaru Silver did not find it. But Aizen discovered Yifeng's suspected blood-quieting ability and the unknown coldness in his palm. Originally. If Yifeng hadn't publicly shown Anuki's Raiden Shikai not long ago. So. Aizen might interpret Yefeng's ability to drive the ice demon energy as Yefeng Zanpakuto's ability. But now. Even Aizen didn't think Yeka's Zanpakuto would have multiple abilities. So. Instead, he began to wonder if Yifeng had something to do with Quincy. After all. The power of the Quincy is rather strange. Quiet, sir. It seems like I haven't heard this name for a long time. Ichimaru Silver was stunned for a moment, then returned to his smiling face, and said, if Yefeng-kun is really that name. The god of death specially trained for the Quincy of Yhwach, so many things seem to be able to be explained. Yhwach is the son of the Spirit King. The ancestor of the Quincy. Millennia ago. A bloody battle. The old man Yamamoto led the army of the god of death to defeat the army of Yhwach's Quincy. But Yamamoto ultimately failed to kill Yhwach. Now. No one knew where Yhwach had escaped. No one knew whether he was dead or alive. So. If it is said that Yhwach has cultivated a special death god in a targeted manner. So. The phenomenon that Yifeng is invincible at the beginning can also be explained. Anyway, yes, Silver, Yefeng is a variable for our plan after all, you two go and kill him together. Aizen gave a calm command. Subsequently. He sat back at the desk again, took a piece of rice paper from the shelf, spread it out, and prepared to use calligraphy to cultivate his sentiments. Kill him. But, Captain Aizen, I really don't need to test again. Dongxian was about to swallow his saliva. In the eyes of Dongxian. It is really a very rare thing to meet a young man like Yifeng. So. He was really reluctant to kill Yifeng. Yeah, Captain Aizen, anyway, he's already fallen for you, is it really that important to kill or not? Ichimaru Silver also smiled and shrugged. Although he also thinks that Yifeng is dead. But. Keep his words. Future. Might as well have some effect. Too bad it was killed. At this time. Aizen smiled faintly. Yes, Silver, killing him is just a signal, to tell the person behind Yefeng not to do some small things in front of me, Aizen Sosuke. Do you have any questions about this? Although Aizen said that the cloud is light and the wind is light. But. His attitude was already clear. Yifeng must be killed. Although Aizen doesn't think Yefeng has the ability to threaten him. But. Because of the night wind. Kaoru Tosen has already started to think about the correctness of Aizen's decision. Both of them also started to perform tasks that Aizen gave them in a less straightforward manner. This is something Aizen cannot allow to happen. Not to mention the words Yifeng said to the monitor at the end of the virtual circle. For Aizen, it was the scowl who was eating guago. So, unsettling factors like this. He has to get rid of it. ... After 6 hours, Yifeng finally completed the mission report of the virtual circle. Of course, Yifeng did not tell all his experiences in the virtual circle. For example, Yifeng didn't say anything about the broken face. This also strengthened Aizen's determination to get rid of Yifeng. After all, a normal god of death, when faced with such a danger, shouldn't he escape completely? Why hide something? He's not right. He was very wrong. Chapter 479_ambush. 2 days later. Night. The moon is dark and the wind is high. It is the perfect weather for killing people. After Yifeng finished a hard day's work, Dong Xian wanted to call him into the captain's office alone. Deputy Captain Yifeng, I need to trouble you for a favor. I wonder if you have time. Dong Xian said calmly. Oh, but it doesn't matter. Yifeng shrugged indifferently. Today is the death anniversary of a friend of mine, but when I went to worship her Matsuri today, I forgot to bring her apricot wine, which she likes to drink, so can I trouble you to run for me and bring the wine there? Toxian wants to finish speaking. Suddenly I felt some inexplicable sadness in my heart. Because he was using his dead friend as a lead. This is somewhat blasphemous. Okay, just tell me the location. I haven't been out of Seraiti for a long time, so go for a walk. Yifeng agreed without hesitation. Seriously. He really could not have imagined that Dong Xian would attack him. After all, Toxian's favorability to him is relatively high. And he was really tired of staying at Seraiti recently, and he planned to go to Liuhun Street to visit the night market to relax his body and mind. Then, next, Yifeng left Seraiti according to Dong Xian Yao's instructions. Came to a barren mountain. But Yifeng did not find the tomb that Dong Xian wanted to tell him after arriving at the designated location. Could it be that the invincible me has also begun to get lost in the habit of getting lost? Yifeng touched his chin. It also feels a little unreal. Just when Yifeng was about to leave, suddenly, he felt that there seemed to be someone in the shadows. Although there is no Reiatsu leaking out there. But Yifeng was still alert and felt that there must be someone there. I don't know why you're hiding there, but if you don't come out, I'm leaving. A slightly playful smile appeared on the corner of Yifeng's mouth. Subsequently, Ichimaru Silver stepped out of the shadows. Ah, it's Yifeng's vice captain, what a coincidence. Ichimaru Silver looked at Yifeng with a smile. Although he didn't particularly want Yifeng to die, he couldn't help it, he had to carry out what Aizen decided. Otherwise, what kind of good lurker is he? Bling cover clothes. This is really good equipment for doing bad things. Yifeng smiled lightly, and then said, Captain Dongxian, since you are here too, why don't you come out together? Do you think that if you hide, you can sneak attack is it to me? When Yifeng saw Ichimaru Silver who came out wearing a spirit mask, he has generally understood the ins and outs of the matter. He challenged Aizen, and then Aizen arranged for Dongxian to arrange himself here, and then let his men come down to kill him. So, Yifeng directly opened the Eye of the Soul. Sure enough, I found Toxinyao, who was also hidden in the shadows. Why didn't Aizen come? Is it because he still needs to use Kyoka Suzuki to create the illusion that you didn't leave the squad? In fact, it doesn't make any sense to do so. After I go back, I will tell him personally. Yifeng smiled faintly. Although Ichimaru Silver and Tosen Kazuya are both super captains. But when Yifeng faced them, he looked very relaxed, as if he didn't care about them at all. Yifeng, you really knew about Captain Aizen and us for a long time. You really are not as simple as you seem. Then, your so-called justice is also a disguise. You really disappointed me. Toxian sighed. This moment, He let go of the burden in his heart. Because now that Yifeng knew what was going on between them, and also know the role of the mirror, that also proves that Captain Aizen's judgment is very accurate. Yifeng is not as simple as he imagined. So, Dong Xianyu couldn't wait to kill Yifeng, and then went back and apologized to Captain Aizen. He shouldn't have any doubts about Captain Aizen. Because any decision that Captain Aizen makes is definitely correct. Even if Captain Aizen kills him. Also right. Justice. Hearing what Dong Xian wanted, Yifeng smiled disdainfully and said, East Immortal wants it. About justice. I have never lied to you. My knife is my justice. Like I told you the other day, if someone kills my friend, I'm really going to take a knife and kill that person. Even if he was wanted by the entire Soul Society for murder, he would not hesitate. I'm not like you. You have always had the chance to kill that person. But you only dare to pin your revenge on others, and you don't dare to go all out for your dead friend. You are so cowardly. Oh. Correct. Another reminder to you. In the future that I can foresee, you have not succeeded in revenge. Captain Tosen who pretends to be justice. Yifeng's voice fell. And Ichimaru Silver's faces instantly became extremely exciting. They thought they were hunters. But this moment, they suddenly felt that the roles of both sides seemed not quite right. Yamanaka Yefeng, you are so shameless when you are about to die. You are so disappointing to me. In the face of Yifeng's mockery, Dong Xian wanted to shake his head with a flat expression. Now, there was no longer any turbulence in his heart. He regained his heart. Out his Zanpakuto. Unleashed his Reiatsu and terrifying killing intent. Tweet. Clean the worms. Toxian will decisively liberate his Zanpakuto. Just see. A majestic spiritual pressure erupted from Qingzong's knife. There was a special chirping sound like an insect. That's what Tosen wanted Zanpakuto to be able to do. Can launch sonic attacks. But, naturally, an attack of this level could not really affect Yifeng. Boom. A spiritual pressure shot up from Yifeng's body, instantly crushing Dong Xian's sound waves. Captain Dongxian, I can give you another chance to make a move because of the reason you once had a good impression of me, but this time, don't use this kind of childlike tempting move again. Quote. There was a hint of mockery on the corner of Yifeng's mouth. Very well, it seems that it takes a lot of work to kill you. Dongxian snorted coldly. Subsequently, he attacked again. The second type of clearing insects Yuhi locusts. Rustling. Countless sharp blades erupted from Zanpakuto in Tozenko's hand. It fell from the sky like a shower of hayate, going straight towards the night wind. And at the same time, Ichimaru Silver also cooperated with Tosen to launch the Oneida Kyuguang. Under the influence of curved light, all the sharp knives that Dong Xian wanted disappeared, and he killed Yifeng invisibly and without interest. Chapter 480_Shoot him, Ghost. However, all this has nowhere to hide from the perspective of Yifeng's soul eye. He raised his hand with a knife. The terrifying sword force rose into the sky, not only smashing the Yuhi locusts, but also cutting off one of Dong Xianyao's left arm at the same time. What, is this the so-called captain-level tactic? No wonder you dare not seek revenge from Tsunayashiro Tokunada, because you are too weak. Yifeng laughed again. Although Dongxian is very poor. But his justice is deformed. He is also deformed. Of course. Not that Toxian is going to be like this from the start. It's all because of the blue dye. Aizen's subtle influence on Toxian is too deep. At this time, Toxian, who lost an arm, let out a tragic roar. He staggered back to Ichimaru Silver's side. Silver, I can't drag it any longer. Yamanaka Yefeng is really strong, let's use that move next. Dong Xian said, trying to endure the pain from his arm. Okay, let's get started. Ichimaru Silver shrugged. Yifeng-kun always said that if you come up, you will use the ultimate move. You have to test it with small skills first. Who can blame this? Then, Dong Xian wanted to let out a roar. Bankai. Insect removal final. Yan Mo cricket. Dong Xian wanted to say something. The ring behind his worm-clearing knife was divided into 9 parts, and with a burst of powerful spiritual pressure, the 9 rings instantly turned into a huge black enchantment, surrounding Dong Xian Yao and Yi Feng. This moment. In Yama Cricket's Bankai space. Hearing, sight, smell, spirit, touch. All disappeared. Unless you can reach Zanpakuto that Tosin wants to recover. So. It's quite possible to say. In such a special space. Toxian doesn't float away and take Zanpakuto to chop people, he only uses ghostly long-range attacks. So. He is almost invincible. But. The person responsible for the attack this time was not Toxian Yao. At the same time when Dongxian wanted to trap Yi Feng with Yan Mo cricket. Ichimaru Silver has raised his Zanpakuto. Shoot him, sharpshooter. Although Ichimaru Silver couldn't see the inner structure of Enma cricket. But. This combo was developed by Tosin together with Ichimaru Silver. So. He had already aimed at Yi Feng's position before Tosin was about to activate Bankai. So. The voice fell. Zanpakuto in Ichimaru Silver's hand instantly grew longer and stabbed right at Yi Feng's heart. But this seemingly perfectly coordinated ultimate move was observed clearly in Yi Feng's soul eye. Yi Feng just turned slightly to the side. The sharp spear passed along Yi Feng's chest. At the same time, Yi Feng raised his hand slightly. An overwhelming force made Ichimaru Silver's wrist shaking while holding the knife. Ichimaru Silver's spear slashed horizontally in the direction of Tosin Kao. It's impossible. How could he have seen the situation in Yan Mo cricket's enchantment? Dong Xian wanted to swing his sword away with a surprised look, completely unable to believe what was happening in front of him. Are all 5 senses deprived? Can't be so unreasonable. Tisk tisk tisk, it's really a good match, but if this is your strongest move, then you can go to hell next time. The voice fell. The ghost in Yi Feng's hand has already aimed at Dong Xian Yao. Shoot him, ghost. Whoosh. Yi Feng's ghost suddenly grew longer, and there was a steady stream of ice demon energy on the tip of the knife. Dong Xian was caught off guard, and he didn't expect Yi Feng to have such a move, so his heart was pierced by the ghost. Pass. Why are you able to use the skill of the sharp gun? Dong Xian wanted to spit out a mouthful of blood. Zanpakuto is restored. At the same time, an ice-cold force instantly spread throughout his body along his heart. In this puzzlement, Dong Xian was about to be frozen into an ice sculpture by Yi Feng's icy demonic energy. Tosin Yao's justice is already deformed. Killing him is actually a relief for him. Are you right, Captain Ichimaru Silver? Yi Feng pulled Goosh out of Tosin Yao's body, and the ice sculpture shattered instantly. Turned into powder. Ichimaru Silver met Yi Feng's gaze, and his Adam's apple couldn't help rolling up and down. You're Zanpakuto. What the hell? How can you be so strong? Ichimaru Silver finally put away his smiling face. A cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Although Dong Xian Yao is not particularly flamboyant in the Guardian 13 team. But Ichimaru Silver is well aware of his strength. Dong Xian is strong. But such a strong man was killed by Yi Feng. And is it still his magic gun move? So, what does Yamanaka Yekazi's true power look like? Captain Ichimaru Silver, did you really realize this problem until now? Did you all deliberately ignore the message I gave you in the virtual circle? Yi Feng smiled faintly. He did not continue to shoot at Ichimaru Silver. Because Ichimaru Silver deliberately leaked a breath at the very beginning to make Yi Feng feel that someone was in an ambush. So, Yi Feng is ready to give him a chance. Leave a message. I really didn't expect it. Ichimaru Silver looked at the calm look on Yi Feng's face. He suddenly saw the shadow of Aizen on Yifeng's body. Although the 10 blades of the virtual circle are strong, when Aizen defeated them and subdued them, he was as light as Yifeng. Against such an opponent, Ichimaru Silver felt that he was invincible. And not everyone is really the enemy, right? Yifeng-kun, although I don't know why you know about us, but you have been hit by Captain Aizen's Kyoka Suzuki, you are not his opponent. Ichimaru Silver said slowly. What did you say, Jinghua Shuiyu? This moment. Finally, it was Yifeng's turn to look surprised. When did I fall in the mirror? Why didn't I know? Aizen told you. Are you sure? Yifeng's forehead was full of question marks. Yifeng knew very well how unreasonable ability Jinghua Shuiyu was. Even the so-called all-knowing and all-powerful Yuhabak has been caught in the mirror. But Yifeng asked himself that he was very careful. Various protective measures have been done in place. How can you still get hit? I don't know when you hit Kyoka Suzuki, but Captain Aizen said that if you hit, you won. Ichimaru Silver shrugged and said. Nightwing nodded. Ichimaru Silver said nothing wrong with Aizen's character. Since he was so sure. It is estimated that Yifeng has really been tricked. But if you hit it, you will hit it. Anyway, he already has the soul's eye that transcends the 5 senses, so there is no need to worry about Aizen's Jinghua Shuiyu.